Hey guys, Chaos Shinobi here. This is a story where Naruto slaughters a mob of villagers attacking him. So then Hiruzen takes Naruto in to train him and to also be his successor as the god of Shinobi. Now let's begin. Chapter 17. Training with the Toad Sage. Team Anko arrived within 2 days. They went straight to the Hokage to give their report. Hiruzen looked at them with curiosity. "Were you able to find Jiraiya?" he asked. "Yes, Hokage-sama, we found him at his last location and engaged him. He managed to escape, but we tracked him down in Yonokuni. Land of hot water," Anko reported. "Did you capture him?" he asked. "That we did," Anko said and summoned a boa. "Okay girl, spit out the pervert." The boa did as she was ordered and spat of a slimy Jiraiya. He was in the fetal position and was shivering. Hiruzen looked at him, then at Anko. "I know that I gave you a bit of leeway, but did it really have to go that far, Anko?" he asked. "I couldn't think of any other way to keep him secure, sir," Anko said. "This was the only way, Gigi. Old man," Naruto added. "It was totally necessary," Jakin interjected. "Unavoidable, sir," Yakumo said her piece. Hiruzen just smirked at the team. "If it was necessary then, thank you for your quick work on finding him. Consider yourself on leave for a while," he said. The team cheered and left the office in smiles. Hiruzen just smirked and looked at his most troublesome student. After get cleaned up, Jiraiya was sitting across his smiling sensei. "That wasn't funny, sensei. I could have been killed in that snake," Jiraiya said with a pout. "Maybe next time you will report to me on time. Consider it should it happen again," Hiruzen said. Jiraiya just grumbled a bit. "So, what do you have to report?" "Nothing much, everything is as it should be. I am keeping tabs on a certain group of men," he said. "What group is this?" "I have no idea. They're pretty secretive and keep to the shadows. I have no idea what they are planning, but I do know 2 things. This group consists of S-rank criminals and Orochimaru was once a part of this group," Jiraiya said. "That is troubling. Find out more about this group, Jiraiya, and fast. What about my request?" "I checked my usual channels, but there is no shinobi by the name of Midoshi. If she is working for Orochimaru, he's keeping it very well hidden. From what you assumed, he would want to keep her a well-kept secret if she is able to remove people from the contract." Hiruzen was in deep thought. The fact that Anko could still summon snakes meant that Midoshi found her worthy, but why? "Keep digging. Something about this child is not sitting well with me," Hiruzen said. "Will do, sensei," Jiraiya said. Then he remembered something that he had been meaning to ask. "Say, when did you take on another student? That blonde kid. He was using a bow kata that I've only seen you use." "Ah, that was young Naruto. I had to take him under my care after an incident when he was 5. Hiruzen said. The name sounded familiar to Jiraiya. "Wait a minute, you don't mean Uzumaki Naruto?" he asked. "Yes, we are talking about the same child. He graduated for the Academy 6.5 months ago, during which I trained him so that he would not be cheated and to also help him control his emotions. It was something that had to be done seeing that he knows of the Kyuubi," Hiruzen said. "Wait a minute, hold the phone, you told him. How could you do that?" Jiraiya shouted. "As I said, I had no choice. He was cornered by some ignorant people and under extreme conditions he used the chakra of the Kyuubi, killing everyone in that alley. I had to make sure that he was trained. Seeing that his godfather was out and his aunt is drinking away her savings, the responsibility fell to me," he said. "Look, you know how important I am in the field," Jiraiya said. "Do not make excuses, Jiraiya. I understand more than anyone the importance that your information brings, but he was still your responsibility. You should have made sure that he was taken care of." "I can do so much," Hiruzen stated. Jiraiya fell silent at his sensei's tone. Hiruzen took a puff of his tobacco and blew out smoke. "You need not worry yourself about him, Jiraiya. He has found friends that he wishes to protect. Even after all this village has done, he still wishes to take my hat from me," Hiruzen assured him happily. Jiraiya nodded, but he still felt a bit bad. He really didn't take his duties as godfather seriously. Maybe it was time to start. Naruto was enjoying his day off. He didn't have too many plans for today. He figured he could always prank someone or annoy Anko-sensei for a new technique, although made sure that his plans did not include the Hyugas. They were still sore about that last prank. As he continued to think, he felt someone to his left. He turned and saw Jiraiya. "Ero-sennin, pervy sage, what are you doing here?" he asked. Jiraiya balked at the name he gave him. "What the hell, what's with the name?" Jiraiya asked. "You're going to stand there and ask about why you earned that name? Really?" Naruto asked in a sarcastic tone. Jiraiya settled on giving the smug punk a dirty look. "For your information, brat, I'm a special type of pervert that the women flock to," he said. "I see that. I mean, they're practically surrounding the stand," he mocked. "Whatever, brat. What are you doing today?" Jiraiya asked. "I was just deciding that. I figure that I would just go and train. Keep my skills sharp," Naruto said. "Good. Let's get started on that," Jiraiya said. He placed some money on the counter and grabbed Naruto's shoulder. They were gone via Shunshin, body flicker. They appeared in one of Konoha's training grounds. Naruto was trying to get his footing while Jiraiya smirked at him. Naruto glared at the man. "You could have warned me that you were about to do that," he shouted. "Shoo kid, you don't want to disturb our guests," Jiraiya said. "What guests?" Naruto asked. He watched as Jiraiya parted the tall grass and started to giggle. Curious, he looked and wasn't too surprised. He saw 3 women splashing water on each other. He gave Jiraiya a look. "Why did you bring me here?" he asked, annoyed. "What? Oh yeah, I'm here to show you a technique," Jiraiya said. "A technique? Why would you show me a technique after what we did to you?" he asked. "Well, you guys impressed me. It's not every day I get tricked like that. So what do you say?" Naruto thought about it before looking at the man. "I'll agree to it if you teach a technique to my teammates. If this will make me strong, then I want them to be strong too," Naruto told him. "I don't see why not," Jiraiya said with a smirk. Naruto watched as he did some hand seals and summoned a scroll. "I heard from Sarutobi-sensei that you know the Kuchiyos no Jutsu summoning technique, or rather, that Lord Enma is allowing you to summon one of his kin. I talked it over with him and he was okay with you keeping the tattoo while you get to be the proud member of the Toad Summons." "Toads? Didn't the Yondaime Hokage, 4th Fire Shadow, use toads?" Naruto said with excitement. "Yeah, and knowing my student, he would want you to sign the contract," Jiraiya said. Naruto was in awe. This pervert was actually the sensei of the 4th and he was going to be able to summon toads like him. "Where do I sign up?" Naruto said with confidence. Jiraiya smirked and unrolled the scroll. "Sign your name in blood and leave your prints," Jiraiya ordered. Naruto looked at the names that had used this scroll. He saw Jiraiya's name and Minato's name. Naruto bit into his thumb and began to sign his name. When he was done, he placed blood on each of his fingers and pressed it under his name. With that done, Jiraiya rolled up the scroll. "Okay then, the seals are the same as how you were taught by Sarutobi-sensei. Let's see what you can do." Naruto nodded and swiped some blood across his palm. He did the seals and slammed his hand on the ground. "Kuchiyos no Jutsu," Naruto shouted. There was a puff of smoke that covered his hand. When it cleared, Naruto and Jiraiya was surprised. "Yo, my name is Gamakichi. You got any snacks?" he asked. Naruto suddenly began to jump up and down in happiness while Jiraiya kept his shocked face. "I knew he was quite skilled, but I didn't expect him to summon a toad on the first try." Jiraiya watched as Naruto kept jumping around. That brought a smile on his face. "He may be a prodigy like you, Minato. I know that I was there before, but I promise to be there in the future. Your boy is an extraordinary person." After 3 days, Jiraiya had to go back out. In those 3 days, he had trained Naruto in summoning. He was impressed and proud that his godson was doing so well. Within 3 days, he had managed to summon both sons of Gamabunta and 2 others that Jiraiya uses for messages. He had Naruto use the Kyuubi's chakra while he taught him and learned that he could summon Battletoads. He was glad for that as it would turn the tide for him in battle. "Well, kid, I need to get back to my research. I expect you to keep working on the technique. I'll be checking on you to see how far you've gotten with the technique," Jiraiya said. He then pulled out 2 scrolls. "These are for your teammates. I watched them while they trained and these shall do them good." "Thanks a lot, Ero-sennin, for the training and the techniques," Naruto said. "You're never going to stop calling me that, are you?" Jiraiya asked with a dirty look. "Nope, never going to happen. Just like his mother. Anyway, I'll see you when I get a chance," Jiraiya said and left. Naruto just looked at the scrolls before leaving to see his team. Jiraiya watched him go and smiled. I wish you luck, my godson. I know that you'll do your parents proud. A week passed when Team Anko was called. The team sported a new look since their last mission. Jacken was wearing a dark blue ninja uniform with bracers on his shins and forearms. The uniform had a hood on it. He also had a bigger pouch that held his kurosagama. Yakumo wore a battle navy blue kimono with short sleeves. She was also wearing a mesh shirt under it. She had a scroll on her back and 2 pouches at her sides. Naruto was wearing a dark orange track pants, a mesh shirt and a blue jersey covered by an orange jacket. He had bracers that went up to the back of his hand. Anko was the most surprising of them all. Gone was the mesh suit and it was replaced with a black bodysuit. She wore a red checkered skirt, shin guards, a black sweater, fingerless gloves and a tan leather jacket with fur on it. Her pouch was strapped to her back. Hiruzen looked at them and waited for something. They didn't have to wait long as Team Guy entered the office. The team didn't look different, but Naruto and Yakumo were wide-eyed when they saw Lee. Their friend of 5 years ran up and gave them a very strong hug. Naruto-kun, Yakumo-chan, my good friends, how have you been since our youthful graduation? Lee asked them. Naruto and Yakumo was speechless while Anko looked side and Jacken kept himself from laughing. That's when their sensei entered the office and they saw the cause of Lee's transformation. The man had the same haircut, green bodysuit and big eyebrows as Lee. Jacken was holding himself up because he was laughing so hard. Anko just shook her head while Naruto and Yakumo were still speechless. Niji managed to get Lee to calm down and release the two. After getting reacquainted with one another, Hiruzen called for order. The teams stood at attention and awaited their orders. Team Anko, Team Guy, this will be a joint mission that will take about 2 weeks to complete. It is a high-ranking C-class mission that has no room for error. Hiruzen said. What is our mission, sir? Anko asked. An important scroll from Kiba no Kuni, land of Fong, is being transported to the border. Once at our border, it will be your mission to see the scroll to the capital, he said. Should we expect hostiles, Hokage-sama? Niji asked. Yes, this document can improve relations with our 2 lands. Many would attempt to stop you from completing your task. Be cautious of your surroundings. Yes, sir, they said and filed out of his office to begin their mission. We need to stop that scroll from getting to the fire daimyo. It can ruin our business, shouted a male voice. Agreed, which is way I have made arrangements. Come in. Another ordered man. The door opened and a talk man entered. He had red hair and had cannons strapped to his back. May I introduce you to Bando? He will solve this problem for us. I'll solve your problems. For the right price, that is, he said. It took both teams 2 days to reach Kiba no Kuni, land of Fong. They had a meeting with one of the daimyo's men and went over the mission. The man told them that the cartels in the land would not sit by and allow them to get to the fire capital. They decided to rest and wait until tomorrow before leaving. The daimyo's man placed them in a secure hotel under false names. After getting settled in, the jonins left to do something. Naruto and Yakumo found this to be the best time to talk to Lee. Ever since they reunited, they had a swarm of questions to ask their friend. They dragged the spandex-wearing teen away from the room so that they can get some privacy. Once alone, the two forced Lee to sit and stared at him. Lee was very confused by how they were acting. Okay, Lee, what's up with you? What's with the getup? What's up with hairdo? What's up with the eyebrows? What's up? Naruto was cut off by Yakumo. What Naruto is trying to say is that we are surprised by your changes. Did your sensei force this onto you? Yakumo asked. Are you under a genjutsu? Yakumo, check for genjutsu. Naruto ordered. Yakumo was about to just that when Lee held his hands up. You may be at ease, my friends. I am not under any genjutsu. Gai-sensei has just shown me my path in life. He has shown me the path of youthfulness and has made my path ever so clear. Lee explained with excitement. Okay, Naruto drawled. So, this change is of your own doing? Yes, to be a splendid ninja without the use of genjutsu and ninjutsu, that is my goal. That is my ninja way, Lee said with fire in his eyes. Naruto and Yakumo were scared a little. After he calmed down, Yakumo spoke. If this is your wish, Lee, then we will support you. I would consider a change of clothes though, she said. Why? Could it be that you too want to further your powers of youth with Gai-sensei's suit of youth? Lee asked excitedly. No. They both said and quickly shook their heads. While this may have been cool for Lee, they would never hear the end of it from Jacken and especially Anko. In the room, the remaining of the two teams was sitting around. Tenten was checking her weapons. Niji was busy meditating and Jacken was lying on his bed. He looked over to Tenten and saw the arsenal of weapons. Wow, that's a lot of steel buns. What are you compensating for? Jacken joked. Tenten ignored him, but you could hear her teeth grinding a little. Jacken just smirked as she ignored him. Jacken knew that she hated the nickname he gave her back in the academy. He only did it to piss her off. He didn't really have a reason other than to annoy his rival in throwing weapons. He decided to see how far he could take it. That's kind of cold buns. We're teammates for the time being. The least you can do is answer my question, he said with a smirk. Tenten saw his smirk and glared at the older teen. God. She wanted to ram a kunai where the sun doesn't shine. She took a calming breath and went back to her weapons. Jacken had to admit that he was impressed that she didn't attack him yet. Still, he had one more ace up his sleeve. Just as well, I'm going to have to cover for the both of our teams. The way you throw your weapons around, I still think the instructors cheated for you, Jacken said. What was that? What the hell did you just say? Tenten snarled. You heard me, Buns, he said. Tenten looked ready to strangle him. She reached for a kunai but quickly calmed herself. Chanting the mantra only 3 more days, Tenten faced him with a calm expression. You know what? I'm not going to fall for it. You can say whatever you want, but the fact is that you're just a bitter little boy, she said. Excuse me? Tenten got in his face before talking again. All you do is bitch and moan about how you should be number 1, but that belongs to me. So just deal with it because no matter what, you'll be just the 4th ranked. So kiss my buns and grow a pair. She turned her nose up from him and went back to what she was doing. Jacken looked embarrassed and was red with anger. That would be Tenten. 1, Jacken 0, Niji said with mirth. Jacken just huffed and found the ceiling interesting. The rest of the team entered the room and looked upon everyone. Anko noticed that Jacken was pissed. Seeing the smile on Tenten's face, Anko got a vicious smirk on her face. Ah, did my oldest genin just get emasculated? Anko asked. Shut it, Jacken shouted. Tenten, Niji and Anko began to laugh while the others looked confused. So who are we dealing with? Bando asked. Just 2 genin teams and only 2 of them are famous, the henchman said. What does that mean? He asked. They have a Hyuga teen and Mato guy. Konoha no Ketakaki Aoi Moju, Konoha's sublime green beast of prey. The henchman answered. The Hyuga might be a problem. That Byakugan will see us coming a mile off. Alright then, we'll have to change our plans. Even with Mato guy, there will be no trouble in taking out these genin, Bando said with confidence. The teams were a day out from the fire capital. Niji was in the lead because of his Byakugan. So far it was smooth sailing, but the teams kept themselves alert just in case. They continued their trek and entered a heavily woodland area. As they walked, Yakumo got a very bad feeling. Being a part of the Kurama clan and trained heavily by her uncle, she had developed an unreal sense when it came to genjutsu. She could feel the vibes of one right now. Anko-sensei, something is wrong? Yakumo said, alerting everyone. Naruto's staff and Jacken Kuzurigama were instantly out. Team Guy was also on alert. What's up, Yakumo? Anko said as she looked around the trees. I believe that we have walked into an ambush. I can feel the effects of a genjutsu, she explained. Impossible. My Byakugan can see through genjutsu, Niji said. That's true, but there are ways to beat a dojutsu, technique. For example, if you have several people casting layer upon layer of genjutsu at the same time, it can negate a dojutsu. That is what I'm feeling at the moment, Yakumo said. Naruto used that technique we practiced. Everyone, kill your chakra, Anko ordered. Naruto slammed his palms together and killed all his chakra. He built it up and crossed his arms. With a shout, he unleashed a huge wave of chakra that traveled a long distance. The team felt a tingly sensation for a few seconds. When it passed, Niji activated his Byakugan again. They have us surrounded, he shouted. Knowing that they had been found out, the enemy attacked. It was a brutal battle. Despite their huge numbers, the teams were having an easy time with them. Naruto was causing mass head trauma to several of them. Jacken was cutting them down with amazing speed and efficiency. Yakumo used small genjutsu to confuse her opponents and take them out from behind. Niji's Juken was devastating to many who attacked him. Lee was crushing his opponents with no problem. Tenten used her weapons with the skill of a war veteran. The enemy knew that they were beaten as they saw many of their comrades on the ground. Those left beat a hasty retreat. The genin was breathing hard and was trying to calm themselves down. The jonin couldn't be any more proud of them as they did now. Anko walked up to one of the attackers, one that was taken out by Niji. "He'll do," she said. Jacken restrained the man. Guy hoisted the man on his shoulder and they were gone in a flash. Bando threw one of the injured henchmen into the wall hard. He died from the impact. He glared at all of them. He grabbed another henchman and held him up. "What the hell happened? I thought that the ambush was foolproof," he shouted. "It was. I just don't understand it." The girl in the battle kimono was able to tell that they walked into an ambush, and the spiky blonde-haired brat was able to disrupt our chakra with his own. The henchman gasped out. "Useless," Bando shouted and killed him with a squeeze of his hand. He looked at the rest of his men. "Gather your weapons. I'll be coming along just to make sure that you don't screw up." Anko circled the man who was currently tied to a tree. She had her jacket off and held a kunai in her hand. She had this devious smile on her face. The man looked a little scared, and that made her smile some more. "So we can do this one of two ways. You can be a spoilsport and tell me what I want to know, or you can be a tough guy and make this fun for me," Anko said. "You don't have the balls to do anything. You might as well kill me now because I'm not saying jack," the man exclaimed. "Oh goody, I was hoping that you would say that. Trust me, tough guy. You will tell me what I want to know," Anko said with a wicked smile before advancing on the man. Tenten jumped again when she heard the cries of something getting gutted. What surprised her the most was the fact that Anko's team didn't look bothered by it. If anything, they looked very annoyed. "Couldn't she have done that farther into the forest?" Jacken muttered. "You know how Sensei is. She's trying to get one of us to take an interest in her work." "I'm not falling for it," Naruto said. "It's all Yakumo's fault that happened," Jacken muttered. "Hey, don't blame this on me. That wasn't my fault," Yakumo shouted. "You used Kurama ghost powers on that one guy. I didn't need to know that he was a bedwetter until he was 15, or that he liked braiding his mother's hair," he countered. "For the last time, stop calling my Kekiai Genkai that," Yakumo shouted. "What the hell is wrong with you guys?" Tenten shouted, stopping the argument. "How can you just sit there and not be bothered by this?" "Well, buns," Jacken said in sage-like voice. He quickly dodged the kunai she threw at him. "The simple fact is that we are better ninja than you." Tenten looked ready to rush him, but she was held by Guy. Jacken jotted that down as a win for him. Naruto sighed while Yakumo bopped him in the head. "Anko-chan is actually second in command of Interrogation and Intelligence Department. She is very youthful when it comes to her skills," Guy explained. "Is that what we're saying about her psychotic issues?" Jacken asked mockingly. Anko suddenly appeared and made her way to her pack. She pulled out some wet naps and wiped her hands of some blood. "That didn't take you long," Naruto commented. "Pest, that guy was a pussy. I only stabbed him with 5 kunais in his joints and he sung like canary," Anko said. Lee, Niji, and Tenten all looked at her with a new sense of fear. Anko then pulled out a bingo book from her pack. She started to flip through it. "Hey Guy, does the name Bando register with you?" "The arms dealer, he is on many wanted list, Hai no Kuni, Land of Fire included. He is unyouthful and his weapons have killed many innocents," Guy said. "Well, that's who is after us. Apparently this scroll will give the fire daimyo a reason to allow his samurai into Kiba no Kuni. If that happens, the cartels will be put out of business. The big boss paid a pretty good amount to stop us from ever reaching the fire capital," Anko said. She found a picture of the man and laid it down for all to see. "Damn, that is one tall son of a bitch," Jacken spoke. "So what's going to be the plan?" asked Tenten. The old man stressed that this should get to the daimyo with haste, so directly confronting him is out of the question. Naruto inputted. "Naruto is right, but if the money is as good as Anko-sensei said, this Bando will not stop until we are dead. My guess would be he will personally come himself," Niji added. "What if we set an ambush of our own?" Yakumo asked. "Did you hear Naruto?" asked Anko. No, what if we ambush them here? She asked again. Anko looked confused and motioned her to continue. Yakumo explained her plan, which both Anko and Guy could not help but be impressed. That's not a bad plan. It would slow them down and give us a head start. Is there any objections? Anko asked everyone. There was none. All right then, let's get started. It was now dawn, and at the camp everyone was getting ready to move. They decided to get moving as soon as the sun rose. The sound of a cannon alerted them. A huge blast erupted in the camp, killed both Guy and Anko. The sky was filled with shadows as Bando's men attacked at once. This time they were overpowered and taken out. They began to search for the scroll while they hurt the genin. Bando entered the camp with a smile. He found it funny how the blonde glared at him with fury. Have you found the scroll yet? Bando asked. No yet, but it should be here, one man said. By Kami, ask the brats, he shouted. He walked up to the blonde and picked him up by the throat. All right kid, where's the scroll? Tell me now and I'll end you quick. Naruto made some choking sounds which Bando didn't hear. What was that? I said boom, he gasped out. Confused, Bando noticed one of the Jonin's features begin to change. His eyes widened when he saw that it was one of his men. Get out of here, he shouted to his men. Confused and distracted, the explosive notes that were all around the area lit up. The explosion could have been seen from a 2-mile radius. The teams looked back to see a mushroom cloud of black smoke. Jacken looked at Tenten with a smirk. And you say that my sensei is crazy, he commented. Shut it, Tenten snarled. Save your lover's spat for later. Let's begin part 2 of the plan, Anko said. Everyone nodded and took off in different directions. Bando roared in rage. He had survived their little trap and so did a few of his henchmen. Get off your asses and get ready to move, he ordered. The hell with that. I'm not going after them again, shouted back one of the henchmen. We've lost so many men to these two teams. We're not sacrificing any more just for this big payday. Another one shouted. Some more men shouted in defiance as well. Bando growled and slammed his fist into the disobedient henchman. Listen well, you will do this or I will kill every one of you, Bando threatened. Come on guys, it's just one of him. Let's kill him. Those that were against Bando charged at him. Bando easily held them off and jumped away. While in the air, he attached both cannons to his arm. He landed and fired his cannons at the charging men. They were quickly shot down and killed instantly. Those who had survived looked on in fear of what would happen. Bando gave them all a menacing glare. Now that we understand each other, I want them found, Bando ordered. They quickly left to do what they were ordered. Bando looked at the area and snarled. While he normally didn't get angry, these teams were beginning to test his patience. These guys were going to die that he promised. Anko and Guy were not moving at top speed. They moved at normal speed just to give the illusion to their pursuers. It would take them a while, but they managed to cut them off and surround them. The two Jonin stood and faced the bandits. They pulled out their weapons and gave the two dirty looks. We've had enough of you and your brats. You will hand over that scroll now, one of the bandits shouted. You want the scroll? Anko asked in a cute voice. Sorry to say, you picked the wrong group. Yes, soon our youthful students would have handed the scroll to the samurai, Guy added. The bandits snarled at them. Kill them! The bandit shouted and they charged at the two. Anko just had a sick smile on her face and raised both of her hands toward the charging bandits. Sanaijishu, hidden shadow snake hands, Anko called out. Several black mambas shot out at them. They bit into them, making them fall down. Anko then jumped over a sword strike and landed on the man's shoulders. She flipped back, bringing the attacker with her, and slamming his head into the ground. She was quickly on her feet and pulled out two kunai. She began to parry attacks and cutting people up. Guy was running through them with amazing speed. He broke bones, busted jaws and caused severe internal damage to anyone stupid enough to attack him. With cries of Konoha Senpu, Leaf Whirlwind, and Konoha Kaigansho, Leaf Rock Destroying Rise, the bandits were quickly dealt with. When it was over, the bandits laid on the ground either dead or unconscious. Well, that wasn't too tough of a workout, Anko said with a little disappointment. Now is not the time, Anko. We must check on our students, Guy said. Fine, let's get going, Anko said. The two took off, this time at faster speeds. Jacken, Tenten and Yakumo continued on their way to the capital. They were moving to accommodate for Yakumo. Thought her physical strength had improved under Anko. She was not one for stamina like her two teammates. As they continued to run, they heard the sounds of agony coming from behind them. By the amount of voices, they realized that a group of bandits were following them. Suddenly the noise stopped. "You think that they got the message?" Tenten asked. "I'm pretty sure that they did. I mean, my traps would have taken out anyone," Jacken boasted. "Oh please, an academy student could have seen that trap you set," Tenten said. "It was meant to be seen as a decoy to activate the real trap. What about you? What's with you and chains?" Jacken said. "What does that mean?" Tenten asked in a threatened tone. "It means that it wasn't a good trap. Oh wow, chains shoot out from nowhere and blocked our path. We have to turn back and forget about pursuing them. Please," Jacken mocked. "Why don't you go to hell, Jacken?" Tenten snarled. "Why don't you kiss my ass, Buns?" Jacken spat. The two ended up glaring at each other, sparks coming out of their eyes. Yakumo just sighed and shook her head. She could just see these two later in years. She wouldn't be surprised if the two ended up sleeping with one another. She couldn't wait to get away from the arguing couple. Naruto, Neji, and Lee moved in a single file. With Neji in the back, they could see who was coming from behind. That's why they were prepared when Neji saw a blast of chakra coming their way. "Everyone, hit the deck!" he shouted. The boys dodged and got out of the way. The blast blew some branches off and placed dents in the tree trucks. Bando appeared and began to fire his cannons at all three of them. They kept moving as the blast of chakra kept blasting through the trees. Lee decided to act and move toward Bando. The man was surprised at the young boy's speed. When he was close enough, Lee unleashed his attack. "Konoha Senpu!" he shouted. The kick connected with Bando's midsection. Lee saw that Bando didn't look hurt at all. Bando smirked and reared his cannons back. Naruto moved quickly and substituted Lee. The cannons connected with him, but he exploded into smoke. Neji used that distraction to hit Bando in the chest with a Juken strike. Bando did not feel it and pointed at Neji. Neji was just as fast and was gone just as he fired. Bando heard the sound of metal flying through the air. He turned to face the attack. The kunai hit his armor with a clang. He saw the explosive notes but did not worry about it. They exploded, but when the smoke cleared, Bando was still fine. Naruto saw that there was a yellow glow coming off him. "Chakra armor? I've only heard about it," Naruto said. "What do you know about it, Uzumaki?" Neji asked. "The armor protects the user from all types of attacks. Ninjutsu, genjutsu, ninja tools, they won't work against it. What confuses me is that the armor is mostly used in Yuki no Kuni. How did this guy get it?" he wondered. "Well, Guy-sensei did say that this guy was a weapons dealer," Lee said. "Good point." All three looked at Bando as he searched for them. Naruto noticed something and smirked. "Neji, do you have any new jutsu?" "Two, but I have not perfected them yet," Neji said. "There's no time like the present. Lee, you see the wire?" Lee nodded to his question. "While Neji and I distract him, you need to cut that wire. After that, Neji will hit him with his new attack," Naruto said. The two nodded and separated. Naruto appeared first, throwing several kunai that had explosive notes attached to the kunai. He did a few seals and slammed his hands together. "Futon Rapusho! Wind release! Violent wind palm!" Naruto shouted. The gust of wind increased the speed of the kunai. They hit the armor with a thunk and exploded. When the smoke cleared, Bando was still standing tall. "Nice try, brat. Take this," Bando roared and aimed his cannons. "Out of the way, Uzumaki," Neji ordered. Naruto got out of the way. Bando didn't care and fired his cannons. Neji saw this and began to spin. "Hakusho Kaiten, 8 trigrams palms heavenly spin," Neji called out. A dome of spinning chakra appeared and took Bando's attack. The blast was deflected and sent in a random direction. Bando growled in anger and was about to fire a stronger blast, but he was interrupted by Lee. "Konoha Senpu!" Lee shouted and connected with Bando's side. Bando was surprised when he felt the kick, knowing that his chakra armor should have lessened their attacks. Naruto helped Lee and attacked with his staff. He used powerful bow strikes to help Lee break the armor. Bando roared and tried to knock both boys back. They jumped back away from Bando to avoid it. He was about to fire, but he heard the sound of fizzling paper. He cursed and ripped the armor off him. He threw it away just as it exploded. "You damn brats!" Bando roared. He turned just to see Niji standing in front of him. He was in a stance and gave Bando a smirk. "You're within my range, Hack Rokujion Sho. 8 trigrams, 64 palms." Niji called out. He unleashed his attack and hit Bando with 64 strikes. Bando was pushed back a few inches. He growled and tried to punch Niji. Niji ducked and jumped away. Bando aimed his cannons, but he could not focus his chakra. He was enraged and kept trying to fire his cannons. Naruto and Lee appeared next to Niji, who was looking at the Bando with his Byakugan. Naruto turned to Niji. "Not to bring up old discussions, but aren't those main house techniques you just used?" Naruto asked. "You little punk. What the hell did you do to me?" Bando shouted. "I've hit 64 of your chakra points, sealing off your chakra. Those cannons of yours will not be of no use to you," Niji informed. Naruto heard something coming from his pouch. It was his radio, which he answered. After a few seconds, Naruto had a smile on his face. He looked at Bando, who didn't like his grin. "What the hell is so funny? The game is over, creep. Your men have been defeated and the scroll is now in the hands of one of the daimyo's retainers. As we speak, Gai-sensei and a dozen samurai are on their way here. Give up, you've lost," Naruto informed him. Bando was red in the face. These little bastards have been playing him from the beginning. He pulled out a smoke bomb and threw it on the ground. The genin prepared for whatever. When the smoke cleared, Bando was gone. "Niji?" Lee asked. "He's moving due east. He will be out of my range pretty soon," Niji said. "Then we should pursue him," Lee said. "No, we don't know if this guy left any surprises if pursued. We should meet up with Gai-sensei and the samurai and let them know what happened," Naruto said. Niji agreed with him and Lee did as well. They left to meet with their sensei. The teams were making their way back home. After being congratulated and spending the night, the teams made their way home. As they walked, they began to chat among each other, making sure to keep both Jacken and Tenten separate. As the afternoon rolled around, Niji saw something with his Byakugan. The team stopped when he did. "What is it, Niji?" Guy asked. "There is a group of shinobi that are a few feet away," Niji said. He looked closer and saw that they were not enemies. They are carrying the Konoha banner. Even the Hokage is with them. That clicked in the minds of the Jonin. They must be returning from Takigakure. That must mean that the Chunin exams are over, Enko said out loud. "Chunin exams?" asked the genin. "I was considering entering U3, but I decided that you weren't ready for the exams yet," Enko said. "Wow. You actually thought of someone else besides yourself?" Jacken asked sarcastically. He was rewarded with a foot in the face by Enko. "You'd think he'd learn by now," Yakumo said. "It's Jacken, enough said," Naruto commented. Hiruzen was enjoying his walk with his men when his ANBU escort became alert. He was curious to know who would do something so stupid when he heard a familiar voice. "Hey old man," Naruto shouted. Hiruzen sighed and gave a positive nod to his guards. From out of the bushes, Team Enko and Team Guy appeared. Enko had Naruto in a headlock that he was trying to free himself of. "Sorry about that, Hokage-sama. He forgets himself sometimes," Enko said. "It's quite all right. It's good to have someone who isn't so formal. Your mission was a success, I assume." "Yes, Lord Hokage. We completed." "Inside voice guy," Hiruzen said. "Yes, we completed our mission with earnest and youthfulness," Guy explained. "Right then, you two can give your reports while we walk," Hiruzen said, and the entourage continued on their way to Konoha. The group made it a good distance and would arrive in Konoha by mid-afternoon. They decided to stop for the night and continue in the morning. The teams that went to the exams were making their tents and preparing to go to sleep. The Jonin and Chunin were giving out shifts for watch and designing defensive positions. With everything discussed and figured out, everyone sat and had dinner. After having dinner with his team, Naruto decided to get to sleep. As he was making his way to his tent, he caught sight of something. It was moving pretty slow and carefully. He was intrigued by what that was and decided to follow it. He kept back a good distance and blended in with his surroundings. With a sensei like Anko, who was pretty skilled at stealth, his stealth skills increased. The tale lasted a while until it led him to a clearing. Naruto stuck to the forest as he observed what was going on. He saw two figures with hoods covering their heads. He realized that he was following a Chunin. He did not recognize him but was wondering what he was doing so far away from the camp. He tried to move closer but knew that it would alert them to where he was. He decided to find Anko and report what he saw. He moved away from scene and made his way back. The shorter of the two hooded people looked at the tree line. She narrowed her eyes as she searched for something. The taller of the two looked down at her. "What is it, Midoshi?" he asked. "Your spy was careless," she said and disappeared. The taller man made a motion with his hand. Several shadows appeared and disappeared into the forest. He looked back to his spy. The spy reached for a weapon but he was not quick enough and was killed. He searched him for the information that he needed. Jacken and Yakumo walked back to their campsite with Anko in tow. They were tired and couldn't wait to get to bed. When they arrived, they saw no sign of Naruto. "Hey Pipsqueak, are you around here?" Jacken called out. The two females were searching for him when Anko heard a small whistle. She quickly tackled her two genin to the ground as kunai came flying out of forest. That alerted everyone as 3 dozen shinobi rushed out of the tree line. Anko was quick to her feet as were her genin. They met the charge and began to do battle. Naruto heard the sounds of battle and picked up the pace. He quickly moved back as shuriken nearly hit him. "Well, fancy seeing you again," a female voice called out. Naruto cursed as he did not have his staff with him. The girl stepped out in front of him and removed her hood. Naruto instantly recognized her. "Midoshi, what the hell are you doing here?" Naruto shouted. Now, is that any way to talk to a lady?" Midoshi asked. "Wait a minute, those robes, that guy was a spy," he exclaimed. "Excellent deduction. Say, can you introduce me to your female friend? Her abilities are very interesting," she said. Hearing that, Naruto instantly got into a fighting stance. Midoshi just smirked at him. "This would be a lot easier if you would just tell me where she is." "Sorry, but I'm not one to do things the easy way. Besides, I won't allow you to harm my friends." Midoshi's smirk just got wider. She slid into her stance and got ready to fight. The camp was in total chaos. The Konoha shinobi did not know who these guys were, but they were going to show them that they had made a grave mistake. The genin did their best to help, but they were regulated to fighting at a distance. Only Team Anko and Team Guy were in the mix. They fought just as good as the Anbu, Jonin, and Chunin. Two of the attackers charged at the Hokage. They were quickly stopped by the god of shinobi, who had their throats in a vice grip. He quickly snapped their necks and dropped them to the ground. He looked toward his soldiers. "Do not kill them all. I want some for questioning," he ordered. His personal guards nodded and went to do their duty. Hiruzen did not know what was going on, but he was going to get the bottom of it. Naruto and Midoshi engaged each other. Naruto went all out against the young girl. Midoshi dodged his thrusts and strikes of his staff. The two easily countered one another when they got close to each other. Midoshi blocked Naruto's thrust with her metal bracers. Naruto pushed her into a tree. As she was pinned down, he gave his staff a big push. Midoshi deflected the staff and the metal end smashed into the tree. She struck his hands to release his weapon. Naruto ducked under her punch, kicked up the other end of his staff and caught it again. Naruto kicked her in the side and brought his staff around to strike. Midoshi arced back to avoid the swing. She straightened herself and lashed out with a spin kick. Naruto ducked the kick, but he was in the way of her sash, which sped toward his head. He had no way to avoid and was skewered in the head. However, instead of blood, Naruto exploded into smoke. Confused, Midoshi felt something flying at her. She kicked the end of it, making it spin in midair. She sent it back to Naruto, who easily caught it. He dropped into his stance and waited for Midoshi. Midoshi analyzed him and began to stalk the blonde genin. He's pretty good. That staff style, it's similar to that of the Sandaime Hokage. Is this boy a student of his? So many questions, so little answers. I wonder what else he has up his sleeves. Midoshi thought. She's good, really good. She definitely trained in the snake fist, which will make this fight harder than it is. I bet she isn't even going all out. Naruto thought. So, are you going to honor my request? Midoshi asked suddenly. What do you want with my teammate? Naruto asked. It's nothing big. I just want to know how she can turn dreams into a reality. Come on, be a gentleman and lead me to her, she asked with mirth. Sorry, but her technique is a Konoha secret. I can't introduce her to you, he answered. Fine, Midoshi said in a huff. I guess I'll just end this fight. Midoshi began to release her chakra, which put Naruto on edge. She gave him a smirk and disappeared. Naruto raised his staff to block her strike, but Midoshi knife hand thrust split the staff and continued on its path. Naruto managed to jump back, but he was still nicked. He slid to a stop while Midoshi observed her fingers. That was a kill strike. I'm surprised that you avoided that, Midoshi said. Her grin got sinister. Let's see how long that will last. She disappeared and reappeared, catching Naruto in the jaw. She ran at him and hit him with several more strikes. Naruto recovered and jumped away to get some distance. He threw 3 shuriken at her and did some seals. Shuriken Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Shuriken Shadow Clone Technique. Naruto called out. The 3 shuriken turned into dozens of shuriken. Midoshi was impressed as she was showered with steel. Naruto took a deep breath as he looked at his work. He suddenly cried out when he was cut in the back. Midoshi appeared from out of the tree and began beating on Naruto in midair. Even as he was getting pummeled, he was still able to deactivate his last technique. They hit the ground, Midoshi on top of Naruto. Midoshi looked at Naruto with a smile. Well, I guess it's time to end this little dance. She cocked her hand back in a spear-like position. See ya. She threw her hand forward with great speed. Just as it was about to connect, Naruto caught her wrist. Midoshi was shocked and looked at him. She noticed that his whiskers were getting darker and his chakra was growing. She was yanked forward and was now eye to eye with him. What's happened to his eyes? My turn. Naruto growled and slammed his fist into her jaw. She was sent flying in the air and came to a stop on the tree. Naruto moved toward her with amazing speed. Midoshi saw him coming and launched her fist at him, passed through his afterimage. She had no time to be shocked as she was hit from her side. She hit the ground with a boom. She quickly moved as Naruto punched the ground. She got to her feet and sprang forward toward Naruto. Naruto easily dodged her attack and countered. She managed to dodge his counter and got some distance. She landed and did some seals. Doton, Doryu Taiga, Earth Release, Earth Flow River, Midoshi called out. Futon, De Tapa, Wind Release, Great Breakthrough, Naruto shouted. With the chakra of the Kyuubi, the river of earth was stopped in its place. The two stopped their jutsu and glared at one another. They were both breathing hard and bruised. You've annoyed me for the last time. Kuchios no Jutsu, Summoning Technique, Midoshi exclaimed. A huge boa stood in front of Naruto. It looked like the scales of the beast was made of iron. Naruto wasn't about to let her attack. Kuchios no Jutsu, Naruto called out. What appeared was a toad, the same height and size of Midoshi's boa. The toad had battle armor and was wielding a sickle. Midoshi was shocked to say the least. This boy had an answer for everything she did. It brought a grin to her face. Now we're talking. Let's go, she exclaimed. Bring it, he exclaimed back. As the summons were about to charge, Midoshi's partner appeared next to her. He placed his hand on her shoulder. That's enough, Midoshi, we have to go, the male voice said. Get away from me. This just got interesting, Midoshi yelled. No, we got what we came for. There is no time for this. The Hokage is on his way here, he stressed to her. Midoshi growled at him. She turned to face Naruto. This isn't a forfeit. We will finish this battle another day. Count on it, she said. She did a few seals and she was gone, as was the snake and her partner. Naruto kept up his guard until he was sure that they were gone. Once he was sure, he sent the toad back home and cut off his connection with the Kyuubi. As he observed the area, the Hokage with his guards and his team appeared. Naruto gave them a grin. Hey guys, what took you so long? Naruto said before succumbing to his injuries. 2 days later, Hiruzen sat with his advisors and ninja commanders. He looked in front of him and stared at the man who stood in the middle. You may begin your report, Ibiki, Hiruzen said. Thank you, Lord Hokage. I have talked with Uzumaki Naruto about the events 2 days ago. He was about to go to sleep when he noticed a shadow moving away from the camp. He investigated and came across one of our men with 2 figures in cloaks. He believed that he would have been seen if he attempted to get closer and left to inform his sensei. On the way, he was stopped by Midoshi and had to engage her. He informed us that she was interested in the abilities of Anko's other student, Yakumo. Ibiki reported. "Who is this Midoshi?" asked Shikaku. Midoshi is a child the same age as Naruto. Despite her age, she is very skilled in the shinobi arts. She made sport of Anko on her team's first C-rank mission. All that is known is that she holds power over those who have signed the snake contract. Hiruzen explained. "I thought that Orochimaru was the holder?" Hamura asked. "It seems that is not the case," he replied. "Is Anko still able to summon?" asked the ANBU commander. "Yes, but the reason behind it is still unknown." When there were no more questions, Hiruzen motioned Ibiki to continue. As the Hokage said, Midoshi is very skilled in the shinobi arts. Naruto explained that he had to resort to using the Kyuubi's chakra in order to fight her. They both used the Kuchiyos no Jutsu and were about to attack when her partner arrived. She warned him that their battle was not over before she left. Ibiki said, "Perhaps we should limit missions given to Team Anko that would take them outside of the village." Koharu spoke. "That would not be wise, elder. Anko can be troublesome if she is cooped up in the village," Ibiki informed her. Some of the Jonin commanders nodded and sighed as they had to deal with a restless Anko. Still, this Midoshi is interested with the Kurama heir. It would not be wise to put her out in the field where she may get captured, Hamura said. "I understand your concerns and have expressed them to Team Anko. They are in great disagreement for being held back, as are the members of the Kurama clan. They advise me that they trust Anko and her teammates to keep her safe. I also believe that it would be a mistake to hold back one of our best genin teams. Besides, we have more pressing matters," Hiruzen said. He turned his attention back to Ibiki. "Have you found out who that man was?" "We have. His name is Ishikawa and is of Chunin rank. He wasn't a well-known Chunin and his service record wasn't impressive. We were able to identify him by his dental records. We have begun our investigation and are checking our records. We are checking to see if anyone has ever met or dealt with Orochimaru in the past," he said. "Don't only go by that. Orochimaru would not be so careless," Hiruzen said. Ibiki nodded and Hiruzen ended the meeting. Midoshi lay in her personal hot spring in Home of the Serpents. She was annoyed by the fact that she had to spend 3 days home to recuperate. Even the healing properties of the spring didn't speed up her recovery. She sighed and looked up to the skies. She replayed that fight over and over again. That boy was good, but she should have been able to finish him. She knew that the Kuchiyos no Jutsu was a high skill to have. She knew that the toads, who were the enemy of the snakes, had only one summoner named Jiraiya. Did that mean that he was his student? Then there was that chakra. No way was that natural. Felt animalistic and feral. That lust of blood and that strength, it was scary and oddly alluring. She was curious about it and wanted to know what it was. That was kind of her thing when something that was interested her. That blonde was certainly interesting, him and his power. It just brought up a lot of questions and so little answers. It frustrated her not knowing. She continued to lie in the water and let her thoughts flow. "Well, now you have become very interesting. Your teammate doesn't even compare to you. We are not finished, my little blonde rat. I will get my answers." Naruto groaned as he lay on the ground of his apartment. His legs gave out on him since he was dead tired from his team's training session. Anko was driven to make her team ready in case they ran across Midoshi again. He could tell that she was not happy about the fact that she was interested in her team. She told them straight off the bat that they would be going through intense training for a while. Luckily, they did missions in the morning so that they would not be strapped for cash. Still, Anko was relentless in her training methods. Yet, he did not complain as he did not wish to rely on the chakra of the Kyuubi every time he fought strong opponents. He managed to turn over to his back and stared at his ceiling. He tried to move, but his body refused to listen to him. He cursed and struggled to move. That's when a familiar face looked down on him. It was Kakashi. "You look comfortable," he joked. "I would flip you off if my body would allow me," Naruto grumbled. "Anko's pushing you and your teammates hard, huh?" Kakashi asked. He picked Naruto up and dropped him on the couch. Naruto groaned and glared at the masked Jonin. He then sighed. "I don't mind it. I think that she's just worried about Midoshi interest in us. Besides, I don't want to be dependent on the fox's chakra." Next time we meet, I'm going to fight her with my own strength, Naruto proclaimed. That's very good to hear, Kakashi said, and he placed a scroll down on his coffee table. Naruto was curious about it. What's that? It's something that will help you in your quest, Kakashi said and disappeared. Annoyed by his friend's attitude, Naruto forced himself in a sitting position. He grabbed the scroll and read the title. Fuinjutsu, Seal Technique. For the simple-minded, Naruto read. He stared at it in silence for a while before talking again. All right, Kakashi, you've just made my list. It would be 3 weeks of hard training before Anko eased up and allowed her team another C-rank mission. They stood in front of the Hokage. There was a woman standing in the room. She was wearing a high-priced kimono and looked very beautiful. She gave the team a once-over. Her attention lingered a little on Jacken. That was something that Anko did not miss. The team stood at attention and awaited their orders. This is Tanaka Aiko. The daimyo of Inokuni, land of bean jam, is requesting a team to guard her as she makes her way to him. Hiruzen began. Is there someone after you, Aiko-san? Asked Yakumo. You can say that. Actually, it is my profession which brings me unwanted attention, Aiko said. What profession is that? Asked Anko. I deal in the service of pleasure. I am actually a present for the daimyo's son. He is becoming a man in a week, Aiko said with a smile. Jacken seemed to frown at that and tuned out the rest of conversation. Aiko noticed this but gave no reaction to it. So when can we leave? Aiko asked. Okay guys, pack for at least 2 days. We'll meet at the gates within the hour, Anko ordered. Yes, ma'am. Team Anko walked along the route that would lead them toward Inokuni, land of bean jam. At the pace they were setting, they would arrive at the city in 2 days. Aiko stood in the middle of Anko's diamond formation. Anko was in the back, Naruto was on her left, Yakumo to her right, and Jacken was in front. So far, it was smooth walking and not one attacked them. Aiko looked at them and decided to start a conversation. So, what made you guys want to be ninja? It sounds like a dangerous lifestyle, Aiko said. Yeah, it's dangerous, but it's a cool lifestyle. We stand for good and everything right in the world, Naruto said. Is that so? Aiko said with interest. He's still a child. The shinobi world isn't as sunny as the brat says, Anko said, ignoring Naruto's glare. So it's not all sunny like Naruto said? She asked. No, sometimes we do things that others find disgusting and disturbing. We aren't seen in too positive light as our hands are stained with blood, Yakumo explained. Come on, that sounds depressing. If you think like that, then the whole world is dark, Naruto interjected. She's just being truthful, Naruto. You know the truth as well, Anko said. True, but that doesn't mean we have to depress the client with our gloomy lifestyle, Naruto said. The brat has a point, Anko admitted. Aiko giggled as she observed them. You all seem very close to one another, Aiko said. They see me like a cool ant, Anko said. More like a psychotic ant, Naruto muttered. The psychotic ant who escaped solitary confinement, Yakumo added. What was that, you stupid brats? Anko growled. Nothing, sensei, they both said. Aiko laughed but then looked at the back of Jacken. She was curious as to why he wasn't saying anything. Do you have anything to add, Jacken? She asked. We kill, we die, that's all I have to say, Jacken said darkly. Everyone looked at the teen with confusion. Jacken was a jerk, but he wasn't that much of a jerk. Yakumo decided to change the subject. So Aiko-san, why is it that you chose this path in life? She asked. Jacken scoffed at the question. It wasn't by choice. My father had debts and sold me to cover them. I could have left the life after the debt was paid, but I got used to it. It isn't a respected life, but it is one that I have come to accept, Aiko said. Of course you got use it. Doing any real work would be too hard for a whore, Jacken muttered. Anko was quickly in front of him and gave him a hard slap to his cheek. That's enough, Jacken. If you have nothing good to say, then shut your mouth, Anko said with authority. Jacken rubbed his cheek and looked at Anko. She saw that he did not look sorry for anything that he said. Anko sighed and gave him a hard look. Why don't you make yourself useful and scout ahead? Yes, ma'am, Jacken said, and he was gone. She turned back to Aiko and her team. I'm sorry about him, He's never so rude toward clients. Anko said. No, it's all right. What he said isn't as bad as what most say. Aiko said with a smile. Naruto and Yakumo looked at each other and decided to get to the bottom of Jaken's behavior. A few more hours later, Team Anko was beginning to set camp. Their tents were already up and Naruto had sent some clones to get some firewood. Aiko was setting up her spot with Yakumo helping her. She gave a look to Anko, who then in turn gave a look to Naruto. Nodding, Naruto walked up to Jaken. Yo Jaken, come and spar with me and bring you Kusarigama with you, Naruto said. I ain't in the mood, pipsqueak, Jaken said. Oh come on. All of a sudden you're scary of the mighty Naruto? Trust me. You won't even lay a blade on me, Naruto boasted. Jaken narrowed his eyes, but he looked at Anko. She waved them off as an okay. Okay then, just don't bitch when I take your arm off, Jaken said. The two walked away to find a place to train. They found a clearing and began to spar. After half an hour of sparring, Naruto decided to talk. So, what's your deal, man? Naruto asked. He moved in close and began to thrust his staff in his face. What are you talking about, pipsqueak? Jaken said as he dodged his repeated thrusts. He wrapped his chain around the end and pulled it down. Naruto brought the other end down on his head, but Jaken blocked it with the sickle. What's with the attitude toward Aiko-chan? You're usual rude, but the way you've been acting is out of line, Naruto said. Jaken growled and pushed him away. Naruto hopped back before Jaken's kick could connect. He twirled the chain around his staff and pulled on it. Jaken stopped him from pulling him in. That's none of your business, Jaken snarled. Well, I'm making it my business. Look man, we're teammates. We train together, we escape Anko together, and we've killed together. I would like to think that we've become cool enough to tell each other things when we're bothered with something. Naruto spoke. Jaken's snarl died down to a frown. He sighed and calmed down. Feeling the chain slacken, Naruto relaxed as well. You know about my father, right? Jaken began. The guy who sent you to kill me, what about him? Naruto asked. He always told me that he never wanted me. He said that I was left on his doorstep because that whore didn't want me either. He explained. Wait a minute. You're saying that you father screwed a prostitute and got her pregnant, yeah? He never let up on telling me that. He would always call her a whore and curse her for leaving me on his doorstep. I know what it feels like, Naruto, to hear such things over and over again, Jaken told him. Naruto did know what he was talking about. While it had reduced, he would be called a demon from time to time. I don't hate the woman, but I just have a strong dislike for prostitutes. I don't respect them and I won't talk highly of them. He then sighed and looked at his teammate. Look, if it will make everyone feel better, I'll apologize and I'll keep my opinions to myself. I guess that's the best I can ask for. So, Naruto got back into his stance. Let's finish this spar. Jaken scoffed and readied himself for another go. Yakumo released her genjutsu that she used to hide herself and Aiko. Yakumo looked at Aiko, who had a sad expression on her face. The woman stood and walked back to the camp without a word. When she was gone, Anko appeared next to her student. Anko had a very good look on who Aiko was. She patted her student's head and the two made their way back to the camp. Midoshi was walking around on the surface. The people above ground gave her a wide berth as they knew who she was. She wasn't paying attention to any of them. She had 6 months to get ready for the Chunin exams that would be held in Konoha. She knew this because Orochimaru had plans for his old village during those exams. She didn't really care about gaining any type of rank as she found them ridiculous. Still, she needed a team to help her. Orochimaru had given her some names. She found 3 that would satisfy her plans. She finally reached the place that she was looking for. She entered the grounds and was standing in front of a small house. She stood there with her arms folded and waited. I'm looking for the Fuma clan members that Orochimaru has under his thumb, she called out. Suddenly, 5 figures appeared and surrounded her. Midoshi looked at them with an uninterested gaze. Am I to assume that you are the members who are with Orochimaru? Yes, we are the guardians of the entrances to the Sound Village. What do you wish of us, Lady Midoshi? Asked the elder male. You must be Erasure. I have need of 2 of your members to help me with a little project, Midoshi said. Who exactly do you need? Erasure questioned. The ones you call Kodoheim and Kajiro. I need them so that we may train for the next Chunin exam, she explained. This surprised the group that she would want them for that. Erasure looked at the two and motioned them to Midoshi. Midoshi looked at the two and analyzed them. She was confused with Kajiro, who she assumed was a girl. Erasure saw this and explained. Kajiro is quite good at concealing herself. She can become anyone at any time. Even the best censor would not tell the difference. He explained. A very useful skill, and I know about your skills as well, Kodoheim. You two will help me greatly within these exams, she said. They bowed to her. We are at your service, they said. Good. Let us go and meet our sensei, she said. She left and the two followed her to her next destination. They reached a cave that was outside the village. Midoshi told the two to wait there and went on ahead of them. As she neared the cave, 2 projectiles were flying toward her. Midoshi didn't look concerned as her sash knocked them aside. She looked at the weapons and saw that they were made of pink crystal. She looked at the cave with a sigh. Are we going to do this every time we have to meet Gyuren? Midoshi asked. A figure jumped out of the cave and landed in front of her. The female had blue hair and brown eyes. She wore a green robe with lavender fur and black shorts. She had lavender leg warmers and shin warmers. She gave Midoshi a glare and formed a blade on her forearm. What the hell do you want, Midoshi? Gyuren spat. Come on, you're still not angry with me? Midoshi asked with amusement. Gyuren looked ready to attack when Midoshi vanished. Gyuren threw her blade back to catch Midoshi. Midoshi reappeared and blocked her slash with her bracers. She then grabbed her arm and the other before she could make a move. Her sash appeared under Gyuren's chin. Can you relax for just a few seconds? I'm not here to fight you again. I have a proposition for you. Why would I want anything from you? You humiliated me in front of Lord Orochimaru. Gyuren spat. Get over it. Be happy that he still keeps you around. Besides, this may put you into his personal circle. Midoshi said. She felt Gyuren relax and released her. She jumped back and landed away from her. Gyuren rubbed her shoulders and glared at her. What's this proposition that you are offering? Gyuren asked. Midoshi smiled. The 3 girls stood in front of Midoshi. She looked at them with a serious expression. Well, now, this will be our team from now on. 6 months from now, the Chunin exams will be held in Konoha. During these exams, Orochimaru will be planning an attack on his old village. Midoshi explained. So we are a part of the invasion force? Kodoheim asked. If you want to be, I'm forming this team so that I can get to the finals. After the first 2 parts, we will go our separate ways. Midoshi said. What are you planning, Midoshi? Gyuren demanded. There are individuals that I wish to see again. Since the exam has to be done in teams, I formed one. Midoshi answered. So we're nothing more than a means to an end? Gyuren snarled. Not really, who knows, we might grow to become friends. Midoshi said happily, making everyone look at her with concern. Midoshi looked at Gyuren. You will be the sensei of this team. I myself will be preparing for the exam with my family. It is your job to get these 2 ready in 6 months. Gyuren just nodded stiffly. Midoshi left, leaving a serpent behind to keep an eye on them. Team Anko were about 2 hours away from the city when Anko called for a rest. She looked at the group with a smile on her face. Everyone was on edge when they saw that smile, which made Anko grin wider. Oh, don't give me that look. I just need some help in filling our canteens. Yakumo, Naruto, you guys come with me, Anko said. Sensei, maybe I should help you? Jacken asked. Oh no, you're the strongest out of all of us. I trust you to protect Aiko-san. Come on, brats. Let's go. Anko ordered and left before any other arguments could be made. Now alone, Jacken and Aiko sat in complete silence. It was an uncomfortable silence which made both of them tap their foot. Aiko sighed and turned toward Jacken. You don't like me, do you? Aiko said. Jacken did not answer her and continued to ignore her. I know you don't like me. I'll confess. I overheard you talking with your teammate. I can't speak for myself, but I feel that you do have the right to dislike those in my profession. I know that I was angry at my father for what he did to me. I cursed his name for most of my life. Then I learned that he was dying. At first, I didn't want to go, but I changed my mind. I wanted him to look upon me and see what he had done to his only child. So what happened? Jacken asked. I was all prepared to rub it in his face and spit on his grave when I saw him. He looked so weak and frail. When he saw me, he wouldn't even look at me. At first I thought he was ashamed at me, but that's when I saw him crying. He forced himself to a kneeling position and placed his forehead to me feet. He begged me to forgive him. He told me that he was sorry for what he had done. He was sorry for his weakness. He was sorry for condemning me to such a life. It was such an eye-opener to me, she said. Did you forgive him? He asked. I didn't want but to watch him grovel at my feet, crying and begging for me to forgive him. How could I not? From the day he gave me away, his heart had weakened. It showed me that he always thought of me, always regretted the decision he made. I couldn't hate him for that. Jacken couldn't help but look at her in a new light. He didn't think that he would be so forgiving. Could he really forgive his parents for the hellish life that he lived? It gave him something to think about. It was around that time that his team returned. After the short rest, they were on the move again. Aiko stood with the men that hired her. She looked back at Team Anko with a smile. I enjoyed this little trip. Thank you for all your hard work, she said. No problem, you're pretty cool for a call girl, Naruto blurted out. Yakumo and, surprisingly, Jacken slapped him upside the head. Jacken looked at Aiko and vice versa. She smiled at him, which made Jacken blush a little. He turned his head to hide it for her. Aiko walked with the men into the city. She was a few feet inside when she heard someone call to her. It was Anko. The woman stood in front of her. Yes, Aiko asked. Are you ever going to tell him? Anko asked. Was it that obvious? She asked in humor. Pretty much, maybe you should let him know. I think that you've gotten your foot in the door. No, at least not yet. 15 years ago, I gave him up because I was vindictive and selfish. When I saw him when your team was after Jiraiya-sama, guilt clenched my heart. Right now, he doesn't know what to think about me. Hopefully, I can arrange a couple of meetings where we can talk again, Aiko said. Or you can write to each other. I can arrange that, Anko said. Thank you, Anko. Please watch over him. No worries. I'll turn him into one badass ninja. You'll be reading about him pretty soon, Anko said. The two shook hands and went their separate ways. Anko could only smile as she made her way back to her team. She wondered if she could make some money reuniting sons with their mothers. Hiruzen had seen a lot of funny things in his time. The time he and Jiraiya spied on the women at the hot spring and he left his student to deal with the consequences of getting caught, that was funny. Now, that moment was topped by what was in front of him today. Anko was tiredly giving her report. She would yawn after every 5 words and didn't seem to care that she was in front of her leader. Her team wasn't any different. Yakumo was trying to be respectful, but she too would yawn and she would occasionally drift asleep. Jacken and Naruto didn't even care where they were and were sleeping while standing. Jacken was snoring while his head was bent back. Naruto was leaning his head against Anko's thigh, which didn't seem to bother her in the slightest. It was an amusing sight to him. As he halfway listened to Anko, he looked over her team's records. Well, I can understand their fatigue. 2 C ranks that were upgraded to B rank and a B rank mission as well. They have a ton of D rank missions. Perhaps they deserve a vacation, Hiruzen said. And that, Anko yawned before continuing, is my report on our mission, she said. Very well then, I will put this in your records, the Hokage said. He then looked at the team in front of him. I have decided that this team deserves a vacation. Every member of the team was up instantly. Did I hear vacation? Jacken asked. Yes, I see here that you've been working around the clock. Your performance with your missions are above satisfactory. You all deserve at least a month off. How does that sound? Hiruzen asked. When he got no answer, he looked up and saw that they were gone. He gave out a frustrated sigh at this team's antics. They were beginning to act a lot like their sensei. Anko had dragged her team to a local bar. They sat in a booth and were waiting for their food. Anko ordered a bottle of sake and 4 saucers. She poured the liquid into all 4 saucers and put one in front of her team. The team looked at the liquid and then back at Anko. I don't think that this is a good idea, Yakumo said. Oh, stop being a stick in the mud. This is to celebrate our 8 months together as a team. We have gone through some good and some bad, but we have become an even tighter group. So, you guys are going to have a drink with me. I promise we will only have 1 drink, Anko said. The team nodded and downed their drinks. The young genin started to cough as the liquid kind of burned their throats. That's when their food arrived. As they ate, Anko caught her team's attention. Okay guys, I know that we have a whole month off, but I don't want you guys to slack off. Each of us, including me, must continue to increase our skills. You can still relax, but I want at least 2 new techniques for each of you. Enko said. Does that include you as well? Naruto asked. Sure, why not? I lead by example, that's what's make me so cool. Enko said. Her team didn't comment on that. Okay. I know that I promised that we would have one drink, but I would like to ask you guys if we can have another? The others agreed and Enko poured out some more sake. They missed the sinister grin on her face. The next day found Yakumo halfway off her bed. Her hair was a mess and she looked like that she had gone a couple of rounds with Enko. She groaned and grabbed her head. She fell out of bed and hit the ground with a thud. She groaned some more and forced herself to her feet. She wobbled a little but she managed to regain her balance. Her appearance a mess. She made her way out of her room and around the compound. She wondered why some of her clansmen were snickering but shrugged it off. She entered the kitchen where her uncle and parents were. Seeing her state, Unkai couldn't help but chuckle. Yoroko glared at him. This is not funny, Yoroko exclaimed. Her sensei should be more responsible than this. I can't believe that my daughter did what she did last night. Mother, please, my head hurts, Yakumo groaned. It happens, my child, when you drink too much. It's called a hangover, Murakumo said. Hangover? What are you talking about? Yakumo sighed. Unkai smiled and handed her a glass filled with a liquid. Yakumo took it and drank it. She got a disgusted look on her face as the drink tasted bad. Ugh, what is this? It's a hangover cure. Give it some time and you'll remember what you did last night, Unkai said with mirth. Young lady, you will never drink again, Yoroko commanded. Is this the type of behavior that you wish to pass on to your sibling? Sibling, what sibling? Yakumo said, now full aware. Yoroko covered her mouth as Murakumo and Unkai just chuckled. Murakumo walked up to his daughter. How would you feel about being elder sister? He asked. Yakumo suddenly got a huge smile and hugged her father. Despite the memory lost of last night, Yakumo couldn't help but be happy. Naruto took a sip of the coffee that Hiruzen gave him. Asuma and Tashiko were in the kitchen along with the two. Hiruzen just shook his head with a smile as did Asuma and Tashiko. Now, I thought that you were intelligent to know not to trust Anko? Tashiko asked. I know, I screwed up. I should have been more cautious after that 3rd cup of sake, Naruto admitted. Still, it was a funny night. I don't think I've seen Kakashi so pissed. How did you get his mask? Asuma asked. I can't really remember, but I'm glad that I did. I did put him on the list. Ow, my head. Naruto groaned. I hope that you learned something from this, Naruto-kun. The devil's drink is no fun, Tashiko said. True, but the events are pretty funny. You think the ANBU will forgive us for that joke we pulled? Naruto asked. I'm sure that they will forgive you eventually, Hiruzen said. He then got serious. So, you wish to get better control of the Kyuubi's chakra. I must ask you this, Naruto, but are you sure? I know that your battle with Midoshi has made you train harder, but do you believe that this is the right course? I believe that the Yondaime put the fox in me for a reason. I figure that I should get a handle on its power in case that reason comes forward. Yeah, Midoshi has some reason to me wanting to control more, but I just want to be prepared, you know, Naruto said. Hiruzen wasn't so sure about this, but he did understand. He knew that Minato never did anything without a reason. I'm not disagreeing with your request, Naruto, but I do want Jiraiya to help you with this. He understands your seal better than I, Hiruzen said. Naruto groaned at that. He didn't really respect Erosenin despite him allowing him to sign the Toad contract. Naruto reluctantly agreed. Hiruzen suddenly got an idea. How about we train together again, Naruto? I'm curious to see how far your skills have progressed. All right. Naruto cheered loudly but quickly calmed himself and grabbed his head in pain. Asuma and Hiruzen just laughed. Anko was laying on her couch. She took a sip of coffee and was reading a copy of Ika Ika. She was wearing a blue shirt and red panties. She was brought out of her reading by a knock on her door. She stood and slowly made her way to the door. She grabbed a bat from her closet and looked out her peephole. I swear to Kami, if you ANBU guys think I'm going down without a fight, Anko began. It's me, you crazy bitch, a female voice said. Anko relaxed a bit and opened the door. She looked to see her good friend Hana. Please, who are you calling a bitch? I thought that term was only reserved for you Inuzuka women, Enko joked. Hana just chuckled at her. So are you sober enough to come out? Hana asked. I'm sober, but I don't think it would wise for me to step outside. I heard that there is a bounty out on me. I'm kind of applauded that they're only after me and not my team, Enko said sourly. You got them drunk and caused mayhem around the village. Even if Uzumaki is the village outcast, they're not going to blame him for what his sensei did, Hana said with amusement. Besides, Kurenai has just been promoted to Jonin. We have to go and celebrate. You're kidding. Okay then, I'll go get dressed, Enko said. She closed her door and went to get dressed. Yakumo walked around town looking for both Jacken and Naruto. She had checked their apartments and then the training grounds. She checked Ichiraka's ramen and Ayam was able to point her in the direction of the academy. She made her way there and found the two sitting in a tree. She quickly joined them. Hey guys, what are you up to? Yakumo asked. We're checking out the new blood. Word is, this class is made up with a lot of the future clan leaders, Jacken said. Get out. Who are we talking about? She asked. The Yamanaka heiress, the Hyuga heiress, you name it, this group has it, Naruto said. Yakumo just nodded. Naruto then looked at Yakumo. So, were you looking for us? Yeah, I have two things to tell you. First, I'm going to be an elder sister, Yakumo said. Hey, congratulations, Jacken said with happiness. Naruto gave her a hug. Thanks guys, the second thing is that I won't be around the village for like 2 weeks. I'm going with my family to Kuni, land of hot water, to spend some time together, she explained. Okay then, have fun with your family Yakumo, Naruto said. Yakumo nodded and was about to leave, but she stopped herself to look at her teammates. Hey guys, did we actually cause a stampede with the Nara clan's deer? Yakumo asked. Both boys just sighed. Let's agree never to drink again or to trust Enko in the presence of alcohol, Jacken said. Agreed. The two said. Enko, Hana, and Kurenai were at the local tea shop. Enko kept looking over her shoulder, which made Hana chuckle and Kurenai sigh. I'm quite sure that the Hokage will not allow everyone to get you, Kurenai said. However, it was irresponsible of you to drink so much and drag your students into it. It was especially stupid to give liquor to the village's #1 prankster. I don't think I've ever seen Elder Yutane so angry. She'll get over it. Besides, it was funny, Enko said. She then changed the topic. So, Kurenai, what is going to be your first assignment? I'll be in charge of one of the new genin teams coming out of the academy, she said. Following in the steps of your mentor. I don't blame you. If you need some pointers, then you can come to me, Enko said. I'll consider it, Kurenai said warily. So, what are you going to do with your month off? Hana asked. Drink, sleep, cause trouble, might even let someone have the pleasure of my company. I really haven't decided yet. I do know one thing though. I'm going to train for most of this vacation, Enko said. Am I hearing this? Is the great Enko Mitarashi actually admitting that she isn't that strong? Has the end of the world come? Hana joked. Ha ha ha, laugh it up. My little brats are actually getting better. They've actually forced me to summon my snakes in order to match them. I'm proud of them, but I don't want them to cream me. I don't know where Naruto is learning Fuinjutsu, but when I find out, I'm gonna kick them in the nads, Enko muttered. Well, you've always expressed a need to learn the sword. Why don't you start there? Kurenai said. And you've always wanted to learn more ninjutsu. You can seek out Kakashi, Hana added. I don't know about that. I could ask K8, but he's always sick these days and Yugao wants to hurt me for last night's incident. I'm definitely not on Kakashi's friend list after I stole his book and handed him to those horny women without his mask. I think I did him a favor, Enko said. That might be true, but when has that ever stopped you before? Hana asked with a smile. Enko nodded in agreement at that. Well then, into the lion's den then, Enko cheered. Hana cheered along with her. Kurenai shook her head at her friends. Gyurin looked over the two beaten members of the Fuma clan. She looked at them with a little interest. At least you two are doing better than last time. In the 3 weeks that you have been here, you have improved quickly, Gyurin said. Thank you, Gyurin-sensei, Kajiro said. You could ease up a little, Kodoheim growled. Quit your complaining. I'm only training you two for Midoshi and her plans. I can't believe that I'm helping that witch. Yurin complained. I'm more concerned about these individuals that she wants to reunite with. I've heard stories about things that gain her interest. Kodoheim said. Whatever, I don't really care too much. I'm just here to make sure that you don't get killed. Now come on, it's time to get back to training. I've got a week and 5 months left to torture you two, Yurin said. Midoshi sat calmly on top of Manda's head. The Snake Lord did nothing to her, but Midoshi felt his unrest and annoyance. You are very tense, Mandashishi, father. Is there something wrong? Midoshi asked. I am concerned about your interest in this boy. It is strictly a strength thing, right? Manda asked. You need to relax, Shishi. I am not interested in any boy. He challenged my strength and I must answer it. Besides, he summons those dreadful toads. I would never like a boy like that, she said. Good. I won't have to eat him, he commented, making her laugh. In Konoha, Naruto looked scared for some reason. Manda then turned his attention back to Midoshi. So how is the Hibi Genzu, snake development? It is quite a jutsu. My team is training again. I picked the right people for my plans. She cut off the technique when she sensed another serpent coming. She smiled when she saw her. Ah, Mistress Kasumi, have you gotten my weapon? Yes, and I must say that it is my best work, Kasumi said. From out of her mouth, a sword appeared. It was a beautiful sword that looked like a Chinese Jane. Midoshi admired her blade and was very pleased. It is a beautiful sword and I know that it's strong, she said. Yes, it will take you a while to master. I have a scroll here for you with the properties of your blade. It was a pleasure to craft this, Kasumi said. Thank you, Mistress Kasumi, Midoshi said. Kasumi slithered off and Midoshi opened the scroll. She couldn't wait to get training. The next 5 months were going to be fun. The owner of the restaurant couldn't believe how stupid his waiter was. How the hell could he have not seen the situation that was in front of him? All over the table there were 10 large bottles of sake. The women and 3 teenagers were clearly under the influence of the drink as they kept giggling at nothing. He sighed and knew that he had to get some new help. What he couldn't believe was that the woman allowed these kids to drink so much. A drunken Team Anko was giggling and laughing at jokes that didn't make any sense. Anko was only going to drink as much as she could so that she could watch as her team act like idiots, but the call of the sake was too strong. Now she was just as wasted as they are. Suddenly, she got an idea in her head. Hey guys, we should do something tonight. We should do something fun tonight, Anko said. That's when Naruto slammed his hand on the table. I know what we can do, he exclaimed. We should prank the village, Naruto said in a way that would be interesting. That is awesome. That is just freaking awesome, Jacken cheered. All right then, let's get going, Anko exclaimed and rallied her troops. They paid for the meal and drink then were out the door. The owner, waiters and customers all looked at the door that the team just left through. Should we alert the Hokage? Asked one of the customers. Are you insane? I'm not leaving this place. Didn't you just hear what they are about to do? Said her companion. I'll keep the place open until it is over, the owner said. He turned to one of his waiters. Lock the doors and pull down the shades. He felt bad for those on the outside, but he wasn't about to get caught in that storm that was about to happen. Kakashi was walking along reading his book, unaware of the evil that was about to be unleashed. He made his way to his apartment, but he suddenly felt something was wrong. He looked up from his book, but didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Hey Kakashi, a sexy voice called out to him. He turned to see Anko, who had returned to wearing her old clothes. He noticed that her trench coat was down to her waist. She had this coy smile on her which put him on edge. What are you doing tonight? Well, I was going to catch up on my reading. What about you? Kakashi asked. I'm bored and drunk and I need some action. What do you say? I'll even let you keep the mask on, Anko said coyly. Kakashi had to think really hard about this. He knew Anko's reputation and thought that it had changed when she got a team. Still, this was Anko and a drunken Anko to boot. He watched as Anko uncrossed and recrossed her legs, giving him a good view of what she wasn't wearing. That made him his decision all the more clear. He was about to answer her when he suddenly felt sleepy. He was confused as he dropped to a knee. He looked up to see 2 Ankos and her 2 male members before passing out. The Anko in her original clothing disappeared to reveal Yakumo. Anko looked at her female student. Nice going, Yakumo. Now let's get that mask off. They did and were surprised and how good he looked. Anko had this wide smile on her face. Well now, I wouldn't mind a little fun with Kakashi, Anko said. Let's take the picture, Jacken said. Naruto did just that and pocketed the camera. Anko saw the book on the ground and picked it up. She knew what Ika was and knew every pervert had one. She was curious as to what was in it. She decided to keep it for a while and see what all the fuss was about. Jacken looked at the downed Kakashi. It seems lame just to keep him like this, Jacken said. Oh, we're now done yet. Get his legs. I have a place to take him, Naruto said. Kakashi groaned and sat up. He wondered what hit him and placed his hand to his forehead. He looked down to see that he was shirtless and was very confused about why that was. He looked forward to see several grinning women and a grinning Team Anko with Naruto holding his mask. That's when he saw the banner, the Hatake Kakashi Fan Club. Have fun, Kakashi, Anko said and left with her team. Kakashi saw that the women locked the door and windows. He just sighed in annoyance as the women pounced on him. Shikamaru was looking at clouds near his house. He was a bit annoyed at the moment as his mother lectured him about being serious now that he was a genin. He just sighed, muttered Mendokusei, how troublesome, and left the house. After a while of cloud watching, he decided to go to check on the deer. As he began to stand, he heard the sound of several deer running. He waited and the deer came running out and headed into the village. He noticed that there were 4 people riding the deer. The young genin looked at the situation and walked into the house. Minutes later, he and his father were running out of the house. They both ducked a frying pan that was launched at them. The deer caused a lot of trouble as they stampeded through the village. People jumped out of the way, some had their stuff destroyed. Members of the Nara clan and ANBU chased the deer. However, this was just a distraction as the team of pranksters were about to launch their attack against the village's elite. They were about to prank some members of the Ansatsu Senjutsu Takushu Butai, Special Assassination and Tactical Squad. ANBU Team Falcon was on guard duty for Elder Koharu. They surrounded the elder as they walked the path to the village entrance. They were returning from a neighboring village that the elder was visiting. They arrived to see several members of the Nara clan trying to rein in their deer. They were curious about what was going on. They entered the village only to be doused with an olive-colored liquid. They were confused and worried that they were hit with a poison that soaked into the skin when the leader, a purple-haired woman, smelt something familiar. Where have I smelt this before? She took another sniff and narrowed her eyes. This smells like, oh no, she thought and looked to see her uniform begin to dissolve. The other members of the team and Elder Koharu's clothes also were dissolving. Their clothes fell off and they were suddenly naked. Members of the ANBU and Nara clan were looking at the ground with wide eyes. They attempted to cover themselves as best they could. The woman was red with anger and embarrassment. ANKO, she roared. Ibiki entered his office to get something that he had forgotten. As he entered, he heard something fizzing. He looked around for the sound. He found the sound but wished that he hadn't. The fuse was already to the end. He quickly did a substitution as his office was showered with paint. He re-entered his office to see the mess that was made to his office. The paint was all over his papers and documents. He was red with rage until an paint-covered subordinate came to him. Sir, Anko and her brats has set paint bombs all over the building. Our files are in ruins, the woman said. That's when an ANBU member appeared. Their mask and armor was covered in red, yellow, and blue paint. Where is she, Ibiki? Your friend's little brat has gone too damn far. 3 of our bases were hit paint bombs, the commander shouted. Ibiki was now white with fury. He went to gather several men for an old-fashioned witch hunt. Team Anko stood on the roof that was 3 roofs away from the Hyuga clan. They had some pink-colored paint with them. This has been the best night of my life. I hope it never ends, Anko said with a drunken slur. Sorry to say, Anko, but it will have to end, a voice said. The team turned to see Hiruzen standing behind them. It's the old man Scatter, Naruto exclaimed. They only got 1 step before each of them was tackled by several Jonin and Chunin. Hiruzen couldn't wait to hear this. Hiruzen listened as Koharu ranted loudly against the actions of Team Anko. She was full-dressed again and irate. He spared glances at Team Anko who were giggling and snorting at the enraged woman. She wasn't the only one. 3 ANBU commanders and Ibiki were angry, and Team Falcon had to be restrained from killing Anko. He could tell that they were drunk, but he had to confirm how drunk they were and why Naruto, Yakumo, and Jacken were drunk. There was a knock on the door. He called out for them to enter, and in came Kakashi with the shop owner. Anko saw him and gave him a drunken grin. "Hey there, stud. Still want to have a little fun?" she asked. Kakashi glared at her before facing the Hokage. "Hokage-sama, this man has something to say," Kakashi said. Hiruzen gave his attention to the man. "Hokage-sama, Miss Anko brought her team to my restaurant and ordered sake. We were not aware she was giving it to her students. By the time we realized it, they had drank 10 bottles worth of sake," the owner said. Hiruzen then looked at Anko. "Okay, I was playing a little prank on my students. I just wanted to see their drunk faces. In my defense, it was Naruto's idea to prank the village," Anko said happily. "Thanks for selling me out, you bitch," Naruto slurred. Hiruzen just sighed as Koharu went into another rant. This time it was at Anko, who just smiled at her. "Hey, I don't feel so good," Yakumo said before she threw up. The rest of the team looked at her with concern. Naruto just had one thing to ask. "Did you eat out of my bowl of ramen?" Hiruzen pinched the bridge of his nose. He was just too old for this shit. Chapter 23, Team Anko's Vacation, Part 2. Naruto sat across from his sensei in her apartment. His clones gently placed her on the couch. She was against going to the hospital and told him to get her friend Hana. He sat and waited with Anko's other friend, Yugao. He wasn't too sure about her, as it was clear that she was still pissed about their pranks 3 days ago. Yugao saw his concern and decided to put his mind at ease. "You don't have to worry. I've forgiven you, your comrades, and your sensei. Just don't drink anymore," she said. "You don't have to worry. We've all agreed to never drink again," he told her. "Spoil sport," Anko muttered. There was a knock at the door. Yugao answered it and Hana entered the apartment. She looked at her friend and smirked. She then looked at Yugao. "Kind of rough, don't you think?" Hana asked. "It pales in comparison to what she deserves," Yugao said. "Man, I can't believe Jacken and Yakumo are out of the village. They would give anything to see her like this," Naruto joked. "Laugh it up, but when we meet up after our vacation, you and the other 2 are mine," Anko threatened. Hana just smirked and began to wrap bandages on Anko's arms. "There are not that many bruises this time. You must be getting the hang of the Hayashiki o Otaru, dancing leaf style," Hana commented. "I chose a style that would suit her. She'll get the basic, but she's a far cry from being a master," Yugao commented. Hana also noticed that Anko's hair was a little damp. "Did you get wet?" Hana asked. "That bastard Kakashi. I bet he's telling everyone and having a good laugh at my expense. To think, I gave him back his book without finishing it," Anko ranted. Hana looked confused, so Naruto decided to elaborate. Kakashi was teaching her a Suiton water release jutsu. For some reason, she froze up and Kakashi hit her with this huge wave of rushing water, Naruto said. "It sounds just like what he did when he was teaching you the Shinju Zanshu no Jutsu, double suicide decapitation technique. You know, this might be his way of telling you that he's interested in you," Hana commented. "You think so?" Anko asked with surprise. "Come on, Kakashi-senpai isn't a child," Yugao said. Naruto didn't comment as he knew Kakashi. While he was a cool ninja, he was a pervert and a very open one. He probably was attracted to Anko, for whatever reason. He would never understand how adults thought. Yakumo made her way to the location where one of her clansmen told her to go. Her uncle Unkai wished to speak to her. She was a bit worried, as her uncle was always concerned of the Ito locked away in her. Even when they were training, he always took extra precautions. She was curious as to what he wanted. It must be important to do this while they were on vacation. She found him meditating near a creek. She approached and sat next to him. "You wish to see me, uncle?" Yakumo asked. "Yes," Unkai said and turned to face her. "Let me say this first. I apologize for my behavior. I know that I have made you uncomfortable with my training." "It is all right, uncle. I know that you are worried about the Ito as it nearly killed mother and father. You care for the clan's well-being," Yakumo replied. "I am glad to hear that. Now for the reason I ask for you to meet with me." I want to tell you that your training will take a more intense turn when we return to Konoha, he said. May I ask why? She asked. You are 16 now. It is time for you to learn the ways of the clans. You must improve mentally, physically, and politically for when you take over the clan. It is your duty as the heiress. Ankai explained. Yakumo nodded as she knew this to be true. Her father, who was the current head of the clan, was not going to be so for long. He was not a shinobi and he was just holding the position of head until she was ready. So what will this training consist of? Yakumo asked. Your father will show you the inner workings of the clan. Together, you and I will further your mental abilities and gain more control over the Edo, he said. What about my place on Team Anko? She asked with concern. We have already spoken to Anko. She is okay with allowing you to learn these things. You will still be with them as she will help you physically. She actually welcomed my help with your mental training so that you can further your skills in Genjutsu. She seemed quite adamant about that. Ankai said with a knowing smile. She told you about that? Yakumo exclaimed. I don't care what she wants, but that was the only time I'm doing that. Yakumo exclaimed. Ankai laughed as his niece pouted. The wild boar kept its nose to the ground, sniffing around for food. It was blissfully unaware of the two waiting for it to pass. Once it was in their view, the two quickly pounced on the boar. They drove their kunai in 2 vital points, killing it instantly. The elder of the two lifted the boar onto his shoulder. The teenager followed him back to the campsite. The man turned toward the teen. So, what's the deal with you and what's her name? Tenten, right? The man asked. There's nothing between us. She doesn't like me and I find her mildly entertaining. Jacken explained. It sounds to me that you're attracted to her. You are 16 after all. You should start looking at attractive girls. He told him. Whatever. Jacken muttered. The two reached their campsite and dropped the dead boar. Jacken then faced the man. You know, I wasn't expecting you to look so young, old man. I'm only 27, he said. So what's your real name? I feel silly calling you by your code name, Jacken said. Yoshitsune, and that's all you're getting. Yoshitsune spoke. How are you enjoying the trip? It's cool to get out of the village for a while. Besides, the pipsqueak is busy with the Sandaime and the ghost is with her family in Kuni, land of hot water. You're really gotten attached to them? Well, they aren't as bad as I thought. We've been through a lot together and we also know each other's secrets. Jacken explained. So you know about Naruto's burden? Yoshitsune asked. He told us when he turned 13. I find it kind of retarded that he was treated like that. True, I did try to kill him, but I never knew why. He's keeping the Kyuubi at bay. We should be kissing his ass. People fear what they don't understand, Jacken. Not everyone thinks the way you do. It's a good thing that you don't see things like them. Yoshitsune ruffled his hair, which annoyed him. Alright, if we want to eat some meat, you need to get skinning. Jacken mumbled something before pulling out a kunai and walking toward the boar. Naruto made his way to where he knew Jiraiya would be. He enjoyed his time with his former sensei. He learned a great deal of things from Sarutobi sensei. He mostly showed him how to combine jutsus with the Kage Bunshin, shadow clone. He also learned a new staff kata. It was a good week. Now, he was searching for his other sensei. The old man told him that he was back in the village. He made his way to the one place in Konoha that he could be. Like he thought the pervert was spying on the females again. Naruto couldn't believe that this guy was one of the Densetsu no Sannin, legendary 3 ninja. Deciding that he had enough fun, Naruto made his move. He threw a rock with a note attached to it over the fence of the ladies' side of the baths. Minutes later, Jiraiya cried out and furiously rubbed his eye. Naruto smirked and walked up to him. Yo, Ero Sennin, pervy sage, does that soap burn? Naruto asked. Jiraiya glared at the smug blonde. Jiraiya took Naruto to a location where no one would feel him use the Kyuubi's chakra. He looked at Naruto who was waiting for him. Alright, Sensei told me about your request. I'm glad that you're thinking about it. The Yondaime didn't do things without a reason. I believe that he wanted you to master its chakra. Jiraiya explained. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Naruto asked. Well, we're going to have you meet with the Kyuubi. I want you to get him to allow you access to more of his chakra. You'll need it if you're going to summon one of the giant toads. Jiraiya explained. So, Do you want me to start meditating? Naruto asked with a bored expression. We could, but I have a faster way, Jiraiya said. He touched Naruto's forehead and he was sent flying. His momentum stopped and he was over a large ravine. Naruto began to plummet toward the bottom. Jiraiya looked down into the black abyss. Forgive me, Naruto, Minato. This is the only way. Meanwhile, Naruto was trying to find a way out of this. He tried using his chakra, but the sides were too slippery. He kept falling and the feeling of death consumed him. I'm really going to die, he realized. That's when everything got white. Naruto found himself in a sewer. He was wondering if this was the afterlife until he felt a huge chakra. He followed it until he came upon two huge gates. They were held closed by a small paper tag. That's when two red eyes and fangs appeared. Welcome, my jailer. We finally meet, face to face, the deep voice said. That voice. So it was you? Naruto said. I'm so glad that you remember. So, you have come before me to gain more access to my chakra. Tell me, boy, why should I? I will gain my freedom once you die, the Kyuubi said. You and I both know that is false. I've researched my seal with Sarutobi-sensei and your life is connected with mine. The only way that you will get free is if I release you, Naruto stated. You have certainly grown since that night. It is good to speak with someone so intelligent. Naruto was instantly on edge. What are you up to? I know that you do not enjoy being sealed within me. Why are you acting so civil with me? My reasons are my own, boy. I do not have to explain them. Consider it a gift that I have not asked you to come closer so that my claws can rip you asunder, the Kyuubi said. That's when the ground beneath Naruto glowed red. It ensnared him and squeezed. Naruto struggled to free himself, but he could not. Do not worry. It is as you said, when you die, I will die. I am not ready yet. This is my gift to you, so that you may complete your task. Remember this feeling when you summon it. We will meet again. Naruto's eyes shot opened. Feeling the rush of chakra, Naruto quickly did the seals for the Kuchiyos no Jutsu summoning technique. A huge cloud of smoke appeared and Naruto saw his salvation. Above, Jiraiya saw that Naruto had indeed succeeded in getting more chakra from the Kyuubi. That suddenly changed when he heard a familiar voice. Not wanting to be around for when he jumped out of there, Jiraiya hightailed it out of there. After a minute or two, a huge red toad appeared with Naruto riding its back. The force of the landing shook the area and could be felt all the way to Konoha. The toad lowered its head to allow Naruto to jump off. The two searched the area, but they could find no trace of Jiraiya. Ero Sennin must have booked it, Naruto growled. Agreed. I will punish him later then, the toad said. Naruto faced the large toad. Thank you for the assistance, Gamabunta-san, he said. It was not problem, Naruto. My sons and many others have spoken good of you. If you will excuse me, it has been a while since I've been released into the world. I will enjoy it before I return, Gamabunta said and went in a random direction. Naruto wished him well and was about to leave when several Chunin appeared. One of them was Iruka. Hey Iruka-sensei, it's been a while, Naruto greeted. That it has. Naruto, was that Gamabunta? Iruka asked. Yeah, I just learned how to summon him. The toads are kick-ass, he exclaimed. Iruka could only look at him in shock and in wonder. What had he and his teammates been up to? Jiraiya stood in front of Hiruzen, Hamura, and Koharu. They did not look pleased with him. Jiraiya just looked at them without worry. How could you be so reckless? That had to be the most stupid thing you have done, Koharu snapped. Did you even think of the consequences of that stunt? You are lucky that the boy managed to summon Gamabunta to save him, Hamura added hotly. You were out of line, Jiraiya, and I am very disappointed with you, judgment. Hiruzen finished it off. Oh come on, I wouldn't have let the kid die. He needs to learn how to use the Kyuubi's chakra sooner or later. I'm just glad that he is taking it seriously enough to try, Jiraiya said. There had to be a better way, Jiraiya. Throwing him down a ravine was not the right way, Hiruzen shouted. Now, Naruto will have to be extra cautious when he faces the Kyuubi within his mind. It'll teach the kid about who to trust and who not to trust, Jiraiya said jokingly. I see that you will not take this seriously, Hamura said with a tone. I am taking it seriously. He has more access to the Kyuubi. It is a win-win. Now if you will excuse me, I have some research to do, Jiraiya said and made his way to the door. He opened it only to get struck in the face. As his hands covered his face, he was kicked in the gut. He fell to the ground in pain. He caught a glimpse of a very angry Anko before she began to wail on him. Throw my punch, subordinate punch? To his death, punch? I'll stomp, show you, stomp, what I do, stomp, to people, stomp, who attack, punch, my kids, elbow drop. Anko ranted. The beating continued for a good while in the presence of the Hokage and elders. They did nothing and held off the ANBU. They couldn't have thought of a better punishment. Chapter 24. Team Anko's Vacation, Part 3. Naruto and Jacken walked onto the training grounds of Team Guy. Jacken was not happy about this as Naruto warned him about starting any arguments. He really wasn't concerned about Tenten, but he was more concerned about the reason they were here for. It didn't make sense giving their crazy sensei a weapon to torture them with. He didn't care how good she was. They walked up to see Lee shadowboxing, Tenten hitting some targets and Neji working on his Byakugan. He was the one who alerted the team to their presence. Jacken, Naruto, what brings your youthful selves here today? Lee asked with excitement. Are you always this excited? Jacken asked. Before an answer could be given, Naruto cut in. We're actually here to see Tenten. We were wondering if you could show us your sword collection. Naruto said. Tenten didn't mind and pulled out a scroll. She unrolled it and smeared her blood over the symbols. Dozens of swords popped out and stood up on the ground. May I ask why you wanted to see them? Tenten asked. Our blonde pipsqueak wants to give our psychotic sensei a sword since she has taken up the blade, Jacken said. Look, I know that it's a crazy idea. A very crazy idea, Jacken muttered. Still, she's getting real good. Maybe she would be appreciative of the gesture and lay off on us, Naruto said. Jacken gave him a look. Just shut up and look at her collection. The two observed the swords in front of them. They didn't see anything that screamed Anko. Suddenly, Jacken looked at a blade. He picked it up and watched as the blade wobbled a little. What about this sword? Jacken asked. Naruto looked to see the blade and was nodding at it. It said Anko, all right, Naruto said. He then looked at Tenten. What's this sword called? I think it's called a jiang. The blade is very thin but sharp. It also bends so you can catch opponents around corners. It isn't too big around here. It's made mostly toward the east, somewhere beyond Mizu no Kuni, land of water. I know someone within the village who can make one like it. That'll be great. Thanks a lot, Tenten, Naruto said. At least she's good at something, Jacken muttered. It wasn't low enough because Tenten looked in his direction. You got something to say? She asked with a hard tone. Here we go, Naruto grumbled before getting out of the way. What? I was just saying that your knowledge of weapons is an asset to the village, Jacken said with a smirk. Don't play dumb, you son of a bitch. Cammy, you're such a baby. Just because I'm better than you, Tenten exclaimed. Ha, you ain't shit. I was out of the academy for over a year and I caught up to you in a matter of months. The only thing you can do with weapons is throw them in bulk and pray that it hits something, Jacken countered. You know what? I have half a mind to shove a kunai right up your ass, Tenten scowled. I'll like to see you try, you stuck-up bitch, Jacken snarled. The two continued to argue while Neji, Lee and Naruto watched with interest. No one was stupid enough to get in between the two when they were like that. Lee could easily testify to that. When it looked like it was getting heated, Naruto had enough. Kuchios no jutsu, summoning technique, Naruto shouted. Jacken suddenly found himself on the ground with something heavy on top of him. Tenten was in the same situation, being held in the air by the toad's tongue. What are you doing, pipsqueak? Jacken gasped out. Let me go, Naruto, Tenten shouted. Look, I think you two need to chill out. Obviously, this will not be solved by you two trying to wring each other's necks. So what I'm suggesting is a throwdown. We'll set up an obstacle where there will be several targets. We'll tally up the score and the winner would be king or queen of weapons. Are you two in agreement? Naruto asked. Fine, they both said. Naruto patted Gamma, who released Tenten and got off Jacken. The throwdown will happen in 3 days, Naruto said. They nodded and the two members of Team Anko left the training ground. 2 days later, Jacken and Tenten were warming up. Naruto and Lee were packing several shuriken holsters for the two of them. Irika, Anko, Guy, and a few others were also in attendance. Irika had helped Naruto set up the course and the rules of the contest. Irika then faced the two contestants. Okay, the rules are simple. Each one of you will run through the course once. There will be some still targets and moving targets. Each target has numbers on it, so that will be points toward your final score. The one with the most points will be king or queen of weapons. Do you understand? Irika asked. Both of them nodded and were handed the belt with pouches on it. Okay. Tenten is up first. Hope you choke, Jacken said. Bite me, bitch, Tenten said and readied herself to go. She stood and prepared to run. Go, Irika said, and Tenten took off. She quickly threw 3 shuriken at the post, all hitting the targets. She threw another 3, which hit 3 more targets. She hit a few more non-moving targets before tripping a wire. 5 discs flew into the air with bull eyes on them. Tenten quickly hit them out of the air and continued on. As she ran, she launched various shuriken at moving and non-moving targets, each one as difficult as the next. The final part of the course was very hard as Tenten had to be very careful not to hit innocents. She got past that part and hit the button, signaling the end of her run. She was breathing hard and was handed some water. Irika and 2 others helped tally up her score. They were very impressed with how well she did. They cleared up the course and next up was Jacken. He stood at the starting line. Go! Jacken took off like a shot. He pulled out some shuriken and launched them like a rapid-firing machine. He tripped the wire and the disc flew up. He quickly shot them down and continued on his way. When he ran out of shuriken out of the palm of his hand, it took him some time to grab a few more. He was still hitting the targets, but he had to slow down some. The final part, Jacken careful launched his weapons at the ones who were the enemy. He could see that they were all kill shots. He hit the button and dropped to his knees. That was a hard run to do. Naruto handed him a bottle of water while the judges checked out the targets. They tallied up their scores and faced the 2 competitors. Okay then, Tenten, your score was perfect 3,000 points. Jacken, your score was 2,995. You were off by 2 degrees on one of the flying disc. Irika said. Jacken groaned while Tenten cheered. The 2 faced each other and Jacken sighed. He stuck his hand out. I'll admit, you're the queen of weapons. Jacken grumbled. How about we both say that we're both rulers? You only lost by 2 degrees, Tenten said. I can live with that, Jacken said with a smile. The 2 shook hands and buried the hatchet. Ah, that's so sweet. Why don't you 2 kiss also? Anko commented. That earned her a glare from Jacken. Everyone laughed and walked off the academy grounds. As they walked, Jacken could help but stare at Tenten's back. The sweat traveled down to her lower back and backside. The pants seemed to cling to her. He saw that she did have a nice butt for a 14-year-old. So focused, he did not realize that Anko had caught him. She leaned next to his ear with a smirk. That's a tight little rear on her, huh? Is that how you like them? Don't be shy, you can tell Auntie Anko. Anko joked. Jacken went red and turned his head away. Tenten refused the turn around mostly because she was red in her cheeks. The bookstore owner sat behind the counter and read a book. It was the afternoon, so business was kind of slow. He heard someone drop something on the counter. He looked to see that it his bestseller, Ika Ika. He saw that it was the first book of the series. When he looked up, he was very surprised to see a woman. Her purple hair was down and she was wearing sunglasses, a tan-colored trench coat that covered a white blouse and maroon skirt. The owner stood up and faced her. You don't see many women looking for this book, the owner said. I'm not as prudish as those women. It is actually a good book, she said. That it is. He took her money and packaged her purchase. Enjoy your book, he said. Don't worry, I will, she said and quickly left the store. In her hurry, she bumped into someone and dropped her book. She was about to shout at the person when she froze up at who she saw. It was Kakashi. The one-eyed, masked man gave her a surprised look. Is that you, Anko? Kakashi asked. Anko? Who is this Anko that you speak of? Anko said. Kakashi just kept looking at her. It was much different appearance than what he was used to. It made her look cute in a way. Anko was a bit uncomfortable with how he was looking at her. She quickly grabbed her bag and began to walk away. Aren't you forgetting something, Anko? Kakashi said. She looked out of the corner of her eye and saw that Kakashi had her book. I didn't know that you found this interesting. It's a pretty good read. I can tell you some stuff about it. There's a tea shop nearby. I'll buy you some dango. Anko was surprised. Was Kakashi asking her out? She quickly banished that idea. It was just a talk between two people who had a similar interest. Sure, why not? But I don't want to know everything. Just give me a broad view of the book, she told him. Kakashi nodded and the two headed for the tea shop. That's when Anko realized something. Say, aren't the Jonin sensei giving their exams today? Is that today? Oh well, this won't take long and you're getting dango for free, Kakashi explained. Good point there to the tea shop, Anko said. It would be 2 hours of talking before Kakashi left to test his students. Naruto roared as he attempted to do this new jutsu. The objective of the exercise was to blow the rubber ball apart. It was an exercise that Jiraiya gave him as an apology for what he did. He called the new jutsu the Rasengan, spiraling sphere. The attack needed no hand seals, which was pretty cool. The first part of learning the Rasengan was for Naruto to pop a balloon filled with water. Naruto saw how Jiraiya did it, was very excited to learn the jutsu. Took Naruto a full week and a half to burst the water balloon. It was very hard for him to burst. While he was trying to figure out why the balloon wouldn't pop, Tora came along. The daimyo wife's cat was actually a friend of the team now. Tora batted around the ball for a while before it popped. It was in that instant that he remembered that the water balloon was all bumpy when Jiraiya demonstrated the first exercise. He thanked Tora by keeping him hidden for a week. He practiced it but couldn't make the water swirl in different directions. He decided to use Tora's method and he easily popped the balloon. He did it a few more times and nailed it. He showed it to Jiraiya, who was mildly impressed. He then gave him a rubber ball and left. Naruto figured that this was about power rather than rotation. Try as he might, he couldn't push enough chakra to blow the ball apart. He decided to rest as his arm began to sting a little. Suddenly, something landed on his head. It jumped off and landed in front of him. He was surprised to see that it was Kosuke. What the? Kosuke? Where did you come from? I didn't summon you, Naruto asked. We have a special portal here called the Inshinsui, distant body water. It allows us to travel from home to Konohagakure, Kosuke said. Anyway, I came to let you in on something. It's about that girl you wanted me to get info on. Midoshi. You got some stuff on Midoshi? Naruto asked. Yeah, and it wasn't easy. I almost got caught a couple of times by the snakes. This girl is something else, Naruto. She's definitely skilled in the arts and has now added the sword to her arsenal. She's also the only human that Manda likes. He doesn't like anybody. He's actually asking his subordinates to find out more about you since she seems to have an interest in you. Oh, and he wants to eat you for putting a bruise on her, Kosuke said. Gee, thanks for that, Naruto said sarcastically. Also, she has been raised by the Snake Clan since birth. I found out that she was born in a village that was near the secret entrance to the Land of Snakes. Manda used to have sacrifices given to him from this village. The village has a few people there, so I gave Jiraiya the heads up. Thanks, Kosuke. Now I can really focus on my training, Naruto said. Kosuke nodded and hopped away. Naruto stood and returned to his training. Midoshi sighed in boredom as Orochimaru went on and on about his invasion plans. Why she was here, she'll never know. She had only one objective, and that objective was Naruto. She heard the sound of a rattle and turned to see a small brown rattlesnake. She walked out of the room, following the snake and ignoring Orochimaru's mouth. As she walked down the corridor, the rattlesnake slithered up to her shoulder. Moa, how is your father doing? Midoshi asked. He is fine. His burns have healed up nicely. I have brought the information that you asked about, Moa said. Oh yes, did you have any trouble? She asked. A little, but it was not too difficult. The toads hold this Naruto in high regard. Gamabunta speaks highly of him. He is also the student of their current summoner, Jiraiya. He reported. Is there anything else? Midoshi asked. He has an SSSS rank secret surrounding him. It's this secret that made the monkey summoner train him personally. His skills have increased as well, Moa said. Midoshi smiled deviously at the information she received. Thank you, Mao, you have done very well. Do not tell Uncle Manda about this. You know how overprotective he can be. The rattlesnake nodded and the two continued on their way down the corridor. Chapter 25, Team Anko's Vacation, Final Part. Naruto decided that he would spend his last days hanging out and causing mayhem. He also decided to get his protege in on the fun. He was to be his successor after all. It wasn't too hard to get him out of class. As the two gathered supplies, Naruto noticed something that made him laugh. He told Konohamaru to wait for him while he went to observe the funny scene. He watched as a pink-haired girl chased his pal, Tora. The cat easily kept out of reach of her as she ran for her life. Naruto saw two boys waiting to use a nest against the feline. When it got close, they raised the net. Tora easily shredded through to net and kept on running. Naruto just kept smiling as the team was frustrated and angry. You know, you could have helped my team, Naruto. Naruto turned to see Kakashi standing there. What makes you think that I could help? Naruto asked with a smirk. It's a well-known fact that Tora seems to like you, your teammates, and your sensei, Kakashi said. While true, why deprive your team of their mission? Besides, I still have a week left of vacation. I'm not going to help you or your team, Naruto said. It was worth a shot. They both heard a female scream. Well, I guess that means they've caught her. I'll see you around, Naruto. Kakashi left Naruto alone. The blonde returned to Konohamaru and to his prank. Naruto and Konohamaru were hiding out in a training field that was near the Hokage monument. They had just pulled off their prank on members of the Yamanaka clan. They managed to get away clean but was later chased by Irika and several other Chunin. Naruto gave them the slip by unleashing a number of shadow clones. Once it was safe, Naruto took him to his training grounds. At the training grounds, Konohamaru was rubbing his head while Naruto laughed at him. It's not funny, Konohamaru exclaimed. Yes, it is. Naruto laughed. He calmed himself enough to give Konohamaru his attention. Haven't you been practicing like the old man has been telling you? Yeah, Konohamaru said. Naruto didn't look like he was buying it. Okay, maybe I haven't been practicing, but it's so boring doing it over and over again. That may be true, but it helps. Now come on. For the rest of the week, I'm going to be teaching this staff form until you can do it in your sleep. We can't have my successor hitting himself over the head when he goes into battle. Naruto joked. Konohamaru just grumbled and got into the stance. The two began to do the staff form until the sun began to set. Tenten was enjoying her VA. Cation. She had a month off and she was going to enjoy it away from Guy and Lee. As she was on her way to buy some new weapons, she saw something that made her pause. It was Jacken. He was sitting at a table and he looked very frustrated. She could see that he was glaring at a notepad. She was curious and made her way over to him. She saw that Jacken did not notice her presence. She carefully leaned in until she was near his ear. "What are you doing?" she exclaimed, causing Jacken to fall out of his chair. He glared at Tenten, who was laughing her ass off. "Are you amused now? Do you feel better now that it's out of your system?" Jacken growled. "I'm sorry, but it was too good to pass up," Tenten said while laughing. She helped him up and the two were now sitting across from each other. Jacken took notice to her change of clothes. "You really like those type of clothes, huh?" Jacken said. "What, they're comfortable," Tenten said. "Anyway, what's up with you? It looks like you wanted to set that pad ablaze with your glare." "Well, I got this letter from this person. She was this woman that we protected a while back. I don't know why she wrote me, but it was mostly to tell me what's up and how her life was. I don't want to be rude, so I'm trying to write a letter, but it's freaking impossible. I don't know what to say, and I don't even know why I'm writing this." Jacken finished with a huff. "Well, maybe you made an impression on her and she just wants to know more about you. What does she do for a living?" Tenten asked. "She provides company to wealthy men," Jacken said. It was much nicer to say that than to call her a whore. "Okay," Tenten said with a pause. "Where's the letter she sent you?" Jacken handed her the letter. She read it and smiled at what she read. "Okay then. She just telling you what she's been up to and wonders if you're okay. Just tell her what you have been up to and wish her the best. Plain and simple. Here, I'll help you get started," Tenten said. She helped Jacken start the letter and stayed with him until he finished it. She helped him with some corrections and stopped him from putting anything stupid in the letter. It was a pretty interesting day. Yakumo let out a very tired sigh as she was released by her father for today. As soon as her family returned from their vacation, she thrust herself into clan duties and her training. She couldn't believe what her father had to go through. She had to learn all the rules and regulations, how to work the finances, and so many other things. It was a very tiring thing to learn and remember. Her uncle Unkai was not easy to deal with either. With the fear out of the way, he pushed her harder than usual. He hit her with various genjutsu which she had to counter. He also increased her physical exercises as well. He taught her some new jutsu and how to wield a tanto. Her biggest accomplishment was to gain much more of the Ito's power. Whenever she used its power, she would get an image that was kind of ghostly. She groaned as she thought about her training for later today. Her uncle told her that they would be really going at it. She couldn't wait for this week to be over. She couldn't believe that she was missing Anko's training. She entered her room and grabbed her flute. She made her way to the garden where she usually played. She went to her favorite rock and sat on it. She composed herself and began to play. She enjoyed this time that she had to herself. She could relax and have no care in the world. She continued to play even as an audience started to gather. They always enjoyed her music and she enjoyed playing her music for them. She continued to play, forgetting about clan business and training. It was sunny out and Anko decided to enjoy the sun. Dressed in a red, two-piece bikini, she made her way to the roof of her apartment building. She unfolded her chair, placed a small cooler to the right and held her copy of Aika Aika. She sat down and began to place on some sun lotion. No need to be ruining her amazing bod. After Maid saw that everything was finally covered, she placed on her shades and began to read her book. As she read, she wondered what her little brats were doing. She knew that her vacation was almost up, so she decided to check on them. She found Naruto with the Sandaime's grandson, refining their staff techniques. She found Jacken walking toward the gate. He had met up with a courier and handed him a letter. She visited Yakumo at her clan's home, where she was in an intense genjutsu spar with her uncle. The flowing hair and glowing aura thing she was doing was so awesome. She was glad that they were increasing their skills and not slacking off. She wasn't slacking either, as she spent most of her vacation working with Yugao and Kakashi. She now had 5 new jutsu and she was coming along with her kenjutsu. Her kids would be in for a surprise when they met again. She couldn't wait to use that other jutsu Kakashi showed her. Speaking of the one-eyed pervert, Anko had him on her brain as of late and was starting to worry. Sure, without his mask, Kakashi was a total fox. They had a few things in common, like Aika Aika and annoying their students. They hung out some aside from training. It bothered her because she was never that close to other men. They always wanted the same thing from her. Some she allowed to get what they wanted. They turned out to be real disappointments. Still, Kakashi was different. He was a horn dog, but when they talked, he gave her his attention. Granted, they only really talked about favorite book, but he still gave her his attention. There was even a time that she pleasured herself thinking about Kakashi. She quickly banished those thoughts. She was Mitarashi Anko. There wasn't a man in the village that could tame her. She suddenly heard what sounded like a flesh-against-flesh collision. She looked from her book to see 2 men fall to the ground below. She just grinned and went back to her book. The week was over and so was Team Anko's vacation. Each member of the team was waking up and preparing for today's team meeting. They each left their respective homes and made their way to Training Ground 44. They all arrived and stood at attention. Anko faced her group with a smile. "Well, my little brats, I hope that you are well rested. Now that we're back together, the fun can resume," Anko said. "Before we get into that, the pipsqueak has something to give you," Jacken said and pushed Naruto forward. Anko noticed that Yakumo and Jacken looked very uncomfortable. She saw that Naruto had a case with him. "Here, this is a present for us. I'm a bit reluctant to give it to you because of how you are, but I trust you to use this when things get important," Naruto said. Anko raised an eyebrow and took the case. She opened it and was very surprised. It was a beautiful sword and its sheath. She held the sword and did a couple of swings with it. Anko found that the sword was great and how the blade wobbled. It was perfect. She looked at the sword lovingly. "I will call you Doku, Venom," Anko said. She saw that her team was giving her a look. "What? It's a pretty name." Anko placed the blade in its sheath and placed it back in the case. "I cannot thank you guys enough for this. How about you let us do a mission instead of sparing?" Jacken asked. "Be happy I'm not testing my new blade on any of you?" Anko countered. She then gave them a serious look. "Well then, you guys are supposed to be showing me what you have learned during your vacation. So, demonstration time. Each of you are to come at me and show me what you've got. Bangs, you're first." Naruto stepped forward. He faced Anko, who stood waiting. Naruto took off at her. He quickly summoned 2 clones. He pulled out his staff and attacked. Anko dodged his attacks with a difficulty. This was a new staff form that he was using against her. She saw one of his clones come at her from her left. She saw that his hands were in the Mi, snake seal. Doton, Doryu Taiga, Earth Release, Earth Flow River. The clone called out. The ground turned into mud and carried Anko away. She quickly regained her balance to hear the next 2 attacks. Doton, Doryuden, Earth Release, Earth Dragon Bullet. The first clone called out. Katan Karyuden, Fire Release, Fire Dragon Bullet. The second clone called out. The fire combined with the mud projectile. Anko quickly did some seals and slammed her hands on the ground. Doton, Doryahiki, Earth Style Wall. Anko shouted. The earth rose like pillars and protected Anko from the fire barrage. She pulled out 2 shuriken that were attached to wires. She threw them both at the clones, wrapping both of them. Katan, Ryuka no Jutsu, Fire Release, Dragon Fire Technique. She was surrounded by fire which then shot forward and crashed into the 2 clones. Once the fire died down, Anko was struck twice in the back of her knees. Naruto threw a hard punch into her back. He was surprised that his fist got stuck. He watched as Anko turned into mud. Anko appeared behind him. You were so close, Anko said with a smile and brought entwined fists down on him. Anko was now the surprised one when Naruto turned into mud. A shadow fell over her. She looked up and cursed. A man-sized blue toad landed on her. Naruto looked below only to find mud. That's when things got weird. Senin Goroshi, 1,000 years of death, Anko shouted. Naruto was then violated and sent flying back toward his teammates and beyond. Yakumo and Jacken could not believe what their sensei just did. Anko was just laughing her ass off. Oh my god, that was so funny. Remind me to thank Kakashi for this technique. That's just wrong, man. I wouldn't wish that on my enemies, Jacken said. Poor Naruto, Yakumo said. Naruto rubbed his ass and glared bloody murder at his sensei. I swear to all that is holy, you and Kakashi will pay for this, he growled. I'm shaking in fear, Anko said with amusement. She then looked at him. You've did some interesting things there. I was a bit surprised that you knew the Doton Kage Bunshin Earth Release Shadow clone, but the toad thing I heard from Irika. I'm glad that you've improved on your sneakiness as well. Did you not hear me? My ass will be avenged, Naruto shouted. Yeah, let's continue, shall we? Knuckles. Let's see what you've been up to, Anko said. Jacken stepped forward. He pulled out his Kuzurigama and readied himself to attack. Chapter 26, Meeting of the Jinchuriki. Anko smiled at Jacken, who looked eager to get started. Someone's eager, especially with what is about to happen to him when he loses, Anko said evilly. No chance in hell, you pervert, Jacken said and launched the ball end at Anko. Anko was surprised by the speed and got out of the way. The small metal ball punched through the tree. Jacken charged and brought the blade down on Anko. She pulled out a kunai and parried the attack. The two engaged in a brief blade battle before Jacken whipped the chain around. Anko was on her toes and dodged every whipping strike. She flipped onto the side of the tree and did some hand seals. Katan, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Release, Great Fireball Technique. Anko called out and shot a medium-sized fireball at him. Jacken reared his arm back as he saw the ball of fire coming. Shinken, Vacuum Sword. He called and swung the sickle part in a quick wide arc. His version of the technique created a thin blade of air that could cut through most things. The blade of wind cut right through the fireball. When the fireball crashed on either side of him, he saw that Anko was gone. Remembering what just happened to his teammate, Jacken jumped into the air. He was lucky as Anko's hands was poking through the ground. He growled and threw in kunai at the hands. Anko quickly pulled her hands back into the ground. Jacken landed and began to whip his chain around. The chain formed into a star and Jacken began to chakra his chakra through the chain. He evened out his breathing and waited. His teammates were worried about him just standing there. Their worry was about to come true when Anko appeared behind Jacken. Senin, Anko began, but Jacken was smirking. Kinzoku-chin no Ketsugo, metal chain binding, Jacken called out. The chain instant and snared Anko, who was very shocked. Using his strength, he flung Anko into a tree. He quickly did a few seals. Raitun, Kangekiha, Lightning release. Wave of inspiration. The wave of lightning traveled through the metal chain and hit Anko. She screamed out and slumped over. Jacken cheered for his victory, but it was very short-lived when Anko hardened and broke apart. Senin Goroshi. Anko called out and hit Jacken in the rectum. It sent the teen flying through the air and into the top of the trees. She looked at the tangled boy and smiled to herself. I do believe that's a record for me. That's got to be 50 feet up in the air. Anko commented. I swear upon everything that is holy, I will get you for this. Jacken growled. Love you too. And now there was one. Let's see what the ghost has in store. Anko said with a smile. Yakumo gulped, but she wasn't about to back down. She decided to go full out and end this quickly. Anko watched as she tapped into the Ito's power. Anko thought she looked very cool with her hair waving in the air. Megan, Mujetsu. Demonic illusion, moonless sky. She called out. The area suddenly got dark and no light was coming through. Anko was amazed that she made a jutsu just like the Naruto second Hokage. You guys don't move. If you do, then they will attack you as well. Yakumo said. She did a few more hand seals and slammed her hands to the ground. Genjutsu Kuchios. Oni Kage Ukami. Illusionary technique summoning. Demon shadow wolves. Anko watched as several pitch-black wolves appear. They were drooling and snarling at her. With a mental command, the wolves charged at Anko. Anko met the wolves head-on. She dodged the first two and split the other in two. She turned and was surprised to see the wolf reform. That won't work, sensei. Yakumo called out. Anko didn't listen and did some hand seals. Suetun, Mizurappa. Water release. Violent water wave. Anko called out and spat out a large volume of water. The wolves were swept up by the attack, but the wolves suddenly disappeared into the shadows. Anko had to use the Shunshin body flicker to escape the attack from below. This is getting a bit out of hand. I think that I'll just end this little spar. Anko said and threw something into the air. It exploded and a bright light surrounded the area. It dispelled the genjutsu and the wolves. Yakumo was blinded and released her hold on the Ito. That's when she felt two fingers go into her butt. She screamed and quickly got away from her grinning sensei. Damn it, sensei. It's not funny. Yakumo roared. Oh, come on. Where's your sense of humor? In fact, Anko said and turned toward Naruto. You should be okay with this, Mr. Prankmaster. Sexual assault is not a joke. Naruto grumbled. Anko just smirked at him. After her team lined up in front of her, Anko faced her team seriously. I am very happy with the improvement. With all the new techniques and tactics, we will work through some team exercises and have some fun missions that we will take on. We will even mess with the rookies a bit. So, let's get back to work. Anko cheered. Hi, sensei, they shouted. Team Anko was on its way back from a border patrol mission. It was a punishment for the team after the genin got their revenge for what happened a month ago. It was pretty funny and Anko was still attempting to get those photos back from Yugao and Kurinai. Anko went a little too far, chasing her team through the village on her pet summons. Either way, Hiruzen thought it would be better for the village and himself that they were out of the village. Anko looked at her students and smiled. They had gotten back to their current level of teamwork fairly quickly. They had a few new formations and she even taught them the Kanashibari no Jutsu, temporary paralysis technique, in order to catch their victims. They managed to do D-ranks with ease and were pushing her still in training. She knew that this Chunin exam's coming, her team would be ready and would destroy the competition. As they made their way back to Konoha, Naruto suddenly felt that something was wrong. He called for a stop and looked toward the northeast. Anko appeared next to him. What is it, Gaki, brat? Anko asked. I don't know. I feel that there is something off coming from that direction. There a lot of killing intent. Naruto explained. Anko turned toward where he was looking and had to admit that there was the faint feeling of death. That's in the direction of the border that connects Kaze no Kuni, land of wind, and Hai no Kuni, land of fire. Anko muttered. She looked at her team. Okay, we'll check this out. Weapons out. Full stealth. I don't want whatever this feeling is to get the drop on us. They nodded and made their way toward the border. A bloody bandit was running. He was missing an arm and was dripping blood. He had to get over the border. Once he was over the border, that monster could not get him. It may have been cowardly to leave his mates to die, but there was no honor among thieves. He was not going to die. He made it across the border and let out a sigh of relief. He was finally safe. That's when he was encased in sand. He frantic tried to get the sand off, but it quickly crept up on him. That's when he saw the dead-looking eyes of the beast. He was going to die and there was nothing he could do. The monster's sand suddenly raised up to protect him from a barrage of kunai and shuriken. The bandit was suddenly pulled to safe by a younger teenage girl. He watched as the two boys attacked the red-haired boy. "Run! Run away! Run away or that monster will kill you!" the man shouted before he passed out. Naruto and Jacken heard him but could no longer retreat as the red-haired ninja attacked. They countered but could not get past the sand. Naruto looked to Jacken and gave him a nod. He then crossed his fingers. "Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. Shadow Clone Technique." Naruto called out. 36 clones appeared and attacked. The red-haired ninja did not move and lashed out with his sand. He was getting annoyed as the clones were getting difficult to hit. It didn't help matters that his teammate kept launching blades of wind. The shinobi was them suddenly dragged underground. Anko appeared out of the ground and flipped back. Once she was out of the way, Naruto placed his hand in a seal and touched the ground. "Kekai. Shujin no Ye. Barrier. Prisoners' encampment." Naruto shouted. A barrier appeared and surrounded Naruto and the red-haired shinobi. Naruto was having a hard time holding the guy down. He had never felt such chakra. He had poured everything into the barrier to keep him down. He suddenly caught something coming at him from the left. It was a wooden puppet and it was coming right at him. "Hapen! Harpoon!" Jacken shouted. The puppet stopped and backed away but not before losing a limb. Jacken appeared to Naruto's side and faced down the puppet. Anko made a move to get the puppet but had to jump back from the wind attack that came. Anko fired off a fireball at the tree and a blonde girl appeared. Anko pulled out her blade and charged. That's when a man appeared and made a beeline for Naruto. "Megan, Mujetsu." The area darkened. "Genjutsu Kuchios. Oni Kage Ukami." A dozen wolves appeared and attacked the man and the girl. Anko appeared in front of the man and saw his Hitai-8. "Ghost, Bangs, Knuckles, stand down," Anko called out. She then faced the man. "My name is Mitarashi Anko, Konoha Jonin, and this is my squad. Identify yourselves, Suna Shinobi." "My name is Baki Suna Jonin and this is my squad. We were only reacting to the fact that you have one of my wards," Baki said. "Your ward was attempting to kill an injured man that crossed over the border. While we are allies, no Suna Shinobi is allowed to pass without confirmation. Do you have that confirmation?" Anko asked. Baki did not say anything but he relaxed a bit. "Tamari Kankuro, stop your attack," Baki ordered. They appeared next to their sensei. Light was returned and Yakumo and Jacken stood next to Naruto, standing at the ready. Baki looked at his last ward. He then turned back to Anko. "If you would please release my ward." "Bangs!" Anko called out. Naruto released the barrier and stood. The boy blasted out of the ground and prepared to attack the blonde. "Gaara, that is enough," Baki shouted. Gaara looked ready to ignore the order, but the fact that the blonde was about to use that barrier again, he listened. He called back his sand to the gourd and walked back toward the border. He ignored the others and continued on. He then stopped and faced the blonde. Naruto didn't know what he saw, but he could feel something similar with this guy. "You," Gaara said gravely, "you will prove my existence." With the said, he made his leave. Baki waved his team across the border. He faced Anko. "My apologizes about what happened. That man you see there was a part of a group of bandits that we eliminated. Should there be a reward, I would believe that the money would be sent to Suna?" he asked. "That's something my Hokage would decide," Anko said. Baki said nothing else and left. The team released a large breath and were wondering what the hell was wrong with that genin. Hiruzen rubbed his chin and had a serious look on his face. What Team Anko had just reported was very disturbing. He looked at his one-time student and saw that he had something on his mind. "Naruto, what are you thinking about? Was it the threat made by the one called Gaara?" Hiruzen asked. "No, I'm not worried about that. It was that look in his eyes when he faced me. He's lost in some sort of madness and anger. I've had a similar look in my eyes when I was younger. I don't know for sure, but that guy could be just like me," Naruto explained. "Wait a minute. Are you saying that we were fighting a freaking Jinchuriki?" Jacken asked. "I'm only guessing. I really don't know for sure. I never knew any shinobi from Suna with the ability to control sand. The Sandaime, 3rd, Kazekage was known for his Setetsu, iron sand. I've never seen someone control regular sand like that. Naruto said. I will have Jiraiya look into this. In the meantime, take the rest of the day off. Hiruzen said. Team Anko bowed before leaving. As they left, Inoichi and the head doctor appeared. They stood and faced the Hokage. Report. The man will survive. Anko's quick thing saved him when she sealed the wound with a fire jutsu. Several gashes on his body. All of them had a sliver of sand. We found that the part of the arm he lost was first crushed then ripped off. The doctor said. Hiruzen nodded and faced Inoichi. I searched his mind, but I only got a brief look before his mind jumbled. That shinobi that faced Team Anko was the sole ninja that brutally killed that whole camp. It was him and no one else. Inoichi explained. This worried the old Kage. If Suna had someone like that in their ranks, then he would definitely make good on his threat. He thanked the two and made plans to contact Jiraiya. He needed information on this Gaara. Chapter 27, Doing the Wave Part 1. Team Anko was moving through the trees at a fast pace. They were packed light just so that they could reach their destination quickly. Why they were so urgent to get to their destination could be summarized by the meeting they had 2 hours ago. Flashback. Team Anko stood in front of the Hokage with their packs. They were called off a D-rank mission and told to pack. They appeared in front of the Hokage and awaited the situation. Hiruzen faced them with a serious expression. A day ago, I received a message from Team Kakashi. They are currently on a C-rank mission to protect a bridge builder to Nami no Kuni, Land of Wave. However, the situation has greatly changed. They were ambushed by the Oni Kyodai, Demon Brothers. They were dealt with, but new information surfaced. It seems that the client, Tazuna, lied about the mission parameters. Hiruzen explained. What is the truth, sir? Anko asked. It seems that Tazuna is being hunted by Gato of Gato Kenpani. He is out to stop Tazuna from completing a bridge that would connect Nami no Kunai with the mainland. Apparently, Gato is not who he presents himself to be. This mission has been bumped up to a B-rank mission because of what Gato may do next. Hiruzen explained. You may wish to bump that up to an A-rank mission, sir. Jacken said. I've read the bingo books and the Oni Kyodai are known associates with the Kirigakure no Kijin, Demon of the Mist. Yes, they were with Momochi Zabuza when he defected. Anko added. Very well then, your mission is to assist Team Kakashi in protecting the bridge builder. You are to leave immediately. Hiruzen ordered. Yes, sir. They all said and vanished. Present. Anko turned her head slightly to face her teammates. Okay, we're about a day from the shore. We're not going to stop to gain passage to Nami. We'll rest, rebuild our chakra, and run across. Am I understood? Anko asked. Hi, sensei. They all said. It took about a day and a half to reach Nami. Team Anko moved stealth fully into the lands and looked for any trace of Team Kakashi. Anko figured that they would have caught up with them by now. They searched for a while before the smell of battle caught Anko's attention. They moved silently to the location and found what looked to be the battleground. This must have been one hell of a party. Let's spread out and look for a trail. Anko ordered. They did just that and checked the battleground. Jacken noticed a deep slice in one of the trees. Sensei, it looks like they encountered Zabuza. This gash could have only been made with a huge sword. Jacken reported. The ground is a bit soggy. It looks like they were doing battle on the lake. Naruto added. Let's follow the trail, Anko said. As they followed the soggy trail, they found some blood on a tree and 4 kunai lying on the ground. Anko picked up one of them and observed it. This is one of ours, I can tell by the quality. So it looks like Kakashi won the fight, but where's the body? Anko asked. Sensei, I found some footprints and one drag mark. It looks like they went this way, Yakumo said. All right, let's get moving, Anko ordered. The team followed the prints, erasing them as they moved. They arrived to a house that was on a lake. Anko was very concerned as there wasn't even a security system put in place. She saw no one guarding the place and was very concerned that they might have arrived too late. Anko made some hand motions to her team and they nodded. They moved on the house from all angles. Yakumo looked into the home and was surprised to see the team doing nothing but sit around. She gave Anko the situation using sign language. Anko was a bit put off by the lazy attitude of Kakashi's students. She let out a low whistle and her team came to her. She knocked on the door and waited. Like she thought, the door was carelessly opened by the female of Team Kakashi. She didn't even have a kunai in her hand. She gave them the stupid, confused look. "Yes, can we help you?" the girl asked. Anko just sighed and rubbed her forehead. This was going to be a very long mission. Yakumo moved her hands over Kakashi's prone form. While she wasn't really looking to become a medic, she did learn how to do first aid. She did learn one technique called the Shozen Jutsu, mystical palm technique, which she was using right now. She stopped the flow of chakra and let out a breath. "He has a mild case of chakra exhaustion. I did what I could be. He'll still be out for 5 days. He should be waking up any second," Yakumo said. "Good, because I got a few choice words for him. Go downstairs and find out about their encounter with Zabuza. Something tells me that we haven't seen the last of him." Yakumo nodded and left to check on her team and Kakashi's. Anko arrived down to the living room. The only people there were her team and Kakashi's team. She looked around for the family. They went to bed. "I secured their windows and any other entry points," Naruto said. "What about the perimeter?" Anko asked. "It's secure. We found 2 old animal trails while we were setting up." The pipsqueak said that he would send some clones in the morning to check them out. Jacken said. "Good," Anko said and turned toward Yakumo. "What did you learn from them?" "Well, it looks like your hunch was right. Zabuza is still alive," she said, surprising Team Kakashi. After Sai managed to free Kakashi from Zabuza, Kakashi used his Sharingan and defeated Zabuza. Akiri Oinin, Hunter Ninja, appeared to have killed Zabuza and took his body away. Anko sighed and turned to face Kakashi's team. "Exactly what did this Oinin use?" Anko asked. Well, the Oinin used Senbon needles and struck Zabuza in the neck. Still, Kakashi-sensei checked his pulse and everything. "He was certainly dead," Sakura answered. "I use Senbon myself, but mine are dipped in poison. A very skilled user of the weapon can kill a person or put them in a death-like state. That also means that Zabuza's ally may know some first aid as well. That gives us about a week before Zabuza tries again," Anko explained softly. She pondered for a second before facing them all. "Okay, this is how." "Wait a second, you put you in charge?" Sasuke suddenly said, cutting her off. "Excuse me?" Anko asked with a tone. Jacken and Naruto quickly got out of the line of fire. "You're not the seniority here. This is our mission. Your team is only here to back us up. You shouldn't be giving out orders until Kakashi wakes up," Sasuke said to her with an "I'm better than you" tone. Anko just looked at him with a raised eyebrow. He suddenly found himself on the ground, a stinging sensation on his cheek. "Just to clear things up, who's a Jonin?" Anko asked. "That would be you," Sasuke said. Anko nodded and backhanded him again, this time on the other cheek. "Hey, you can't do that to Sasuke-kun," Sakura exclaimed. She suddenly felt that same stinging sensation and fell onto her butt. She was holding her cheek. Sasuke growled and looked ready to challenge Anko, but she quickly squashed any challenge by punching him in the head. When he hit the ground, Anko slammed her foot onto his head. "Are you about done?" "Good, because I'm only going to say this once. Until Kakashi is 100%, you're my bitch. You will do what I say when I say. You're no way, shape, or form my superior. If you ever talk to me like that again, I'll cut your special man off and shove it down your throat. Do you understand me?" Anko demanded. "Yes, Anko-sensei," Sasuke muttered out. "Since you're filled with energy, you and Naruto can take first watch. After them, it'll be the pink-haired failure and Yakumo. The last watch will be the pale ghost and Jacken. Now, get to work," Anko said and took her foot off his head. Sasuke glared at her before storming out of the house. Naruto just followed him and said nothing. The rest of the genin got comfortable and waited for their shift. Kakashi opened his eyes to see a wooden ceiling. He cranked his head to his right and saw a pair of legs that were crossed. Looking up a bit, he saw his reading buddy. "So the Hokage sent you? I must have good fortune," Kakashi said. "I wouldn't really call it that. Let's just say my team is a lot better at these missions than you are," Anko said, not taking her eyes out of her book. Kakashi looked at her with a critical eye. "You're angry with me," Kakashi said. "What would give you that idea?" Anko asked. "Well, For one, your legs are crossed. Then there's the attitude and the angry twitch of your foot. Kakashi answered. It's good that you know me so well, Enko said. She then closed her book and looked at Kakashi. Yes, I am angry with you. You should have turned back to Konoha. Your team is definitely not mature enough for a mission this dangerous. I thought that it would get them to trust one another. Their teamwork is horrible. I thought a dose of the real world would have opened their eyes, but from your expression, it hasn't worked out that way, Kakashi said. No, it hasn't. The Uchiha thought he could talk to me like some rookie. The pink-haired waste of space is nothing more than a fangirl. I don't know about the pasty one. He seems to be hiding something, Enko said. He's a member of Danzo's group, Kakashi said. No kidding, I guess I can count on him then. Anyway, what do you want me to do with them? I know my team can do things without me, no problem, but I need to get your team ready to face Zabuza again. So he is alive? I figured as much. Well, can you teach them how to better control their chakra? Kakashi asked. Enko looked at him and Kakashi shivered a little. Exactly how long have you had this team? Enko asked. About a month and a half, why? Kakashi asked. Enko just sighed before launching herself at Kakashi. Enko came down from upstairs to face some very confused looks. What happened up there? It sounded like Kakashi was dying, Jacken said. He wishes. The pervert probably got off on that. Anyway, you three, pointing to the members of Team Kakashi, are to see Kakashi. After he talks to you, you're to meet me back down here so we can get you ready for Zabuza. She then faced Naruto. Did you check out those animal trails last night? Yeah, I used my clones. The trail behind the house leads toward a cave and to the main village. The trail at the front of the house actually leads toward the road to the bridge. In fact, it would be a perfect way to take to and from the bridge. It's also much closer. Naruto explained. Good, you're on guard duty today. Tazuna is to be attached to your hip. He moves, you move with him. He takes a piss, you help. Yakumo, you'll be doing recon. Get into the village and see what you can find. Jacken, you'll be with me in helping these three in ready for Zabuza. Enko said. Why do I have to help you babysit? Jacken asked. Hey, I'm not doing this by myself just because that bastard upstairs is too lazy to actually train his own genin. Besides, we're training them my way, Enko said. You think that's a good idea, sensei? We're used to your training methods. The girl won't even last 5 minutes. Yakumo said. Tough titties, they'll get stronger or they'll die, Enko said with annoyance. She then looked at Kakashi's team. Are you still here? They got up and quickly made their way upstairs. Naruto stood up and looked at Jacken. Just make sure that she doesn't kill them, Naruto said to him. Jacken nodded at him. Okay, old man. I'm ready when you are. Tazuna just nodded and followed him out. As they walked, Tazuna just had to ask. Hey kid, is your sensei crazy? He asked. I wouldn't say crazy. Psychotic, bloodthirsty, horny. Those are words that would best describe sensei, but crazy isn't one of them, Naruto said. Tazuna just kept quiet for the rest of the journey to the bridge. Chapter 28, Doing the Wave Part 2. It was getting dark when Enko returned with Team Kakashi. All three genin looked beaten up and dirty. As they entered, they saw Naruto, Yakumo, and Kakashi with Tazuna's family. Enko wondered how Kakashi got out of bed when she noticed the crutches. Kakashi looked at his team before looking at Enko. How was your day? He asked with an eye smile. Don't smile at me, you one-eyed pervert. I can't believe you accepted this mission with such a piss-poor team. They only lasted an hour after some real training. The girl is the most pathetic of the bunch. Enko spat. Now, let's not get angry, Enko. I was going to train them eventually, Kakashi said. Whatever, just keep teaching them the tree climbing exercise. Especially with her because her chakra reserves are the worst. Enko said. I'll keep that in mind, Kakashi said. Enko sat down with everyone and began to eat dinner. After dinner and ignoring Inari, Team Enko and Team Kakashi had a meeting. They were all in the room where Kakashi was staying. Alright, with what we know about Zabuza, I will be preparing my team for when he returns. It will be likely that his accomplice will be with him this time. Team Enko will handle the guard duty of Tazuna, Kakashi said. Yakumo, what did you find out on your day around town? Enko asked. We shouldn't expect any help from the villagers. Gato has them scared like mice. His base of operations is centered on the docks. His compound isn't near the village. He has a bunch of thugs walking around like they own the place. 2 attempted to follow me, but I managed to lose them. Gato has truly destroyed this village's spirit. Yakumo said. So what are we going to do? Asked Jacken. We could always take off the head of the snake, commented Naruto. While that might work, Gato is the type of person who would have probably have someone in the wait to take over his business. Assassination is out. Enko said. Everyone was silent for a while before Yakumo had an expression on her face. What if we have Zabuza take Gato out for us? Yakumo asked. Everyone looked at her with curiosity. Remember your prank on Enko Naruto? Remember how for a while, everyone thought Enko was with Gai-sensei? Yakumo said. This made the boys smirk and Enko growled. Your point being? Enko growled. What if we can make Zabuza feel that Gato will betray him? A person with his reputation has to be the type of person who backs out of his deals. Yakumo said. I get where you're going. It isn't a bad idea. Enko said. I agree. If we pull this off, Tazuna will be safe to complete the bridge and Zabuza will have to move on. Kakashi said. What are you guys talking about? Asked Sakura. That is really none of your business, Pinky. This is something my team will handle as this is right up our alley. I'll be taking my team out of here so that we can further go over the plan. Enko said. Why aren't we involved with the plan? Who do you think you are to just cut us out? Sasuke demanded. Because my team is battle-tested. They know how to be a team and complete the job. I don't need a fangirl and a guy with a superiority complex holding us back. You got a problem with that? Enko asked, daring him to answer. Sasuke just growled at her but did not say anything to her. That's what I thought. Do we have anything else to talk about? No, I think that's it. I'll allow you to discuss your plan with your team, Kakashi said. She nodded and ordered her team out of the room. Once gone, Kakashi turned to his team. You're lucky that she didn't give you another red cheek, Sasuke. She isn't someone you want to piss off, Kakashi said. Who does she think she is? She comes here acting like her team is much better than us. Whatever they're planning, I should be a part of it. I am a Uchiha and my skills could help, Sasuke exclaimed. And yet, you can't even climb up a tree without your hands dickless. Sai mocked with a smile. Shut up, Sai. Don't call Sasuke-kun that, Sakura exclaimed. Kakashi just sighed again and wondered who he upset to get such a team. Team Enko was outside of the house and were a few feet away. Enko faced her team who were waiting for her to explain the plan. So we're about to do some espionage, right? Jacken said. That's right. Continuing from what Yakumo was talking about, we get Zabuza and Gato to turn on each other. I want to hear some ideas on how we do that, Enko said. They were thinking about it when Jacken came up with an idea. Zabuza's bounty is pretty high and he does wield one of the swords of the Kiri no Shinobigatana Shishinin Shu, 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. What if we begin spreading the word that Kiri's Oinin is here and they are looking for him? I can use my clones and change them into Kiri Oinin. We can have them move around the town just to prove the rumors true, Naruto said. Gato would have to confirm those rumors and face the Oinin. Still, Gato might just kill the Oinin, Enko said. Who says that it has to be one team? Could be a bunch of teams. The Pipsqueak is a one-man army, Jacken said. Okay, it's a good plan. Naruto, you'll be using a lot of chakra, so be prepared, Enko said. Gotcha, Naruto said. Jacken, Yakumo, go into the village and blend in. Spread the rumors around and get Gato attention. When he feels the need to talk, I'll step in as leader. Naruto will be my backup, Enko explained. Hi, they answered. Enko was guarding Tazuna. She looked at the bridge and had to admit that it was very impressive. When it was finished, it would be pretty strong. She guessed that it would take several explosive notes to bring the whole thing down. She turned when she saw some of the men looking at her. She gave them a wink which caused 2 men to crash into each other. She chuckled as she enjoyed doing that to men. She was so glad that she grew a nice pair of breasts. They were like the ultimate teasing material. I wish you wouldn't do that to my men, Tazuna said with annoyance. Please, you're one to talk. You think I don't know that you were staring at my ass? Enko asked with mirth. Tazuna had a small blush but quickly shook it off. Where that blonde student of yours? He's the most helpful with that technique of his, Tazuna said. He's doing a mission. Hopefully, we can get Gato off your back with this. Enko said. You think that you can? Gato isn't really intimidated by people. Tazuna said. He's only brave because of that army of thugs he has surrounding him. Trust me, he's nothing but a bully. Me and my team, with this little side mission, will show how much of a coward he is. By the end, Gato will be a bad stain of Nami's history. Enko said. 2 days had passed and the plan was in full effect. Jacken and Yakumo easily slipped into the town's populace. That's when Naruto began his part of the plan and had several of his clones disguised as Kiri Oinen walk around town. Jacken and Yakumo began spreading the rumor, which continued to spread throughout the village. It got back to Gato, who was instantly worried. He knew Kiri's reputation and wanted nothing to deal with them. He ordered his thugs to avoid the Kirinin and find out where the rumor came from. The thugs did as they were told and strong-armed everyone. They were led to Jacken, who was pretending to be an orphan who wanted to get into Gato crew. They took him to see the boss. They covered his head with a bag, but Jacken took in everything by smell, hearing, and touch. He made a mental map of where they were taking him. They removed the bag and Jacken was face to face with Gato. This kid is where the rumor started from? Gato asked. Yeah, we questioned everyone and they pointed us to this kid. We even have witnesses that saw him talking with the Kiri Shinobi. The thug said. Gato then faced Jacken. So kid, what did those Kiri Shinobi want? He demanded. Hey now, I may be an orphan but I know the price of information. Like I told your goons, I want to be paid. Jacken said. It depends on your information. Tell me what you know. Gato ordered. Well, I don't know much. All I know is that they were tipped off that a missing nin from their village is in the area. They said something about a guy with a huge sword. I told them that I didn't know anyone like that. They told me that I would get a little reward if I know something about it. They really want whoever this guy is because they're not leaving. Jacken explained. They? How much of them are here? Gato asked. I don't really know. I've seen at least 3 teams walking around the place. Jacken said. Gato was gripping his cane with frustration. If those teams found out that he hired Zabuza, they will kill him and anybody associated with him. He looked at Jacken and reached into his pocket. He threw a roll of Rio and faced him. There's more in it for you if you can get in touch with them again. Gato began to write down something on a piece of paper. You give them this paper and I'll let you into my organization. Gato said. All right, Gato-sama. I'll get right on it. Jacken said with excitement. Gato snapped his fingers and they took the kid away. One of his men looked at him. Are you going to set them up? He asked. Are you serious? No, I'm going to trade in Zabuza's life. His fee was too much anyway. We'll handle Tazuna and his bridge another way. These shinobi are too damn unreliable. Gato cursed. Yakumo walked around the village carrying 2 bags worth of groceries. As she walked around, she noticed that she was being followed again. She turned slightly to see that it was the same goons from last time. She cursed and decided to walk faster. The goons sped up to catch up to her. Yakumo began to run a short way before ducking into an alley. She waited for them and pulled out a small blade. As she could hear the footsteps, she was suddenly grabbed and pulled away. When the goons arrived, they only found 2 bags of groceries. They looked around for Yakumo but soon gave up and walked away. As soon as the coast was clear, 2 heads popped out of a dumpster. Yakumo looked at her savior, who gave her a smile. The 2 teens were washing themselves in the river. Yakumo was wringing out the water in her hair when she looked at her savior. She had almost mistaken him for a girl. His features were very feminine, but that Adam's apple was that of a man's. She gave him a look over and had to admit that he was kind of cute, in a feminine way. She especially liked his hair. I have to thank you again for your assistance. I've been getting followed a lot lately, Yakumo said. It's no problem. I couldn't allow someone cute like you get bothered by those men, the boy said. Yakumo smiled and had a little blush on her cheeks. My name is Yakumo. What's yours? She asked. My name is Haku, he greeted. Well, I thank you again, Haku, for being my white knight, Yakumo said. It was an honor, my lady, Haku said and bowed. It made Yakumo giggle. He was a charming person. I should really get going, she said. Would you like me to walk you home? He asked. No, that's okay. Besides, I'm not supposed to be outside. My mother is worried about those Kiri ninja around. Haku didn't show it, but he was curious about what she had just said. Kiri ninja? He asked. You mean that you don't know? There is a bunch of shinobi with the symbol of Kirigakure on their mask. I don't know how many there are, but they're all over the place. Yakumo explained. Haku kept his face neutral as he took in that information. He then smiled at her. Thank you for telling me. I'll be sure to tell my father about that. I hope that we meet again, Yakumo. Haku said. I hope so too, Haku. The two went their separate ways. As soon as she was out of sight, Haku vanished using the Shunshin body flicker. He needed to get this information to Zabuza immediately. Chapter 29, Doing the Wave Part 3. It was a foggy, forested area that Anko chose as the meeting place. It gave really good cover and it would give Naruto a good view of where Gato was coming, where he was going and any signs of an ambush. She was in a henge transformation of the standard Kiri Oinen uniform and Naruto had several clones like that as well. It would be an hour and a half before Gato appeared. Walking with him and flanking him from each side were two swordsmen. They had their hands on their blades, but it did not worry her. She stood at the ready just in case he did something stupid. Gato stepped forward and faced Anko. So, you're the leader of these teams that are moving around my land? I didn't expect you to be a woman, Gato said and leered at her. Anko just rolled her eyes behind her henge. You should not underestimate me just because I'm a woman. To answer your question, I am the head commander of those teams. I assume that you know why we are here, Anko said. I heard it was because you're hunting a known criminal from your village. I assure you that there is not one here, Gato said. Then you must take us for fools, Gato, Anko said. She pulled out a contract that she handed to Gato. The little man paled when he saw what it was. Yes, we know that you have hired him for a job, but it does not matter to us. We want the location of Momochi Zabuza. You will hand him over immediately. Now wait a minute. I paid a lot of money for his services and I will not be cheated out of my investment, Gato exclaimed. Perhaps you prefer that Kirigakure no Sato, hidden Vilgi in the mist, gets involved with your operations. Technically, that bridge has not been connected to the mainland. We rule the seas, and if you don't wish for some accidents to happen to certain ships like the Yamato, I would be a little more open to negotiations, Anko said. Gato gulped at her declaration. The Yamato was a ship owned by him that did some illegal shipping for him. If it was destroyed, it would be a lucrative loss. He growled at the woman before gathering himself. Fine, you can have him. He cost too much anyway, Gato said. A wise decision. Anko then handed him a piece of paper. You will make sure that he gets to that location and we will do the rest, she said. She made a hand motion before disappearing. Gato wasn't happy, but he didn't need Zabuza or his brat. He rubbed his caste before leaving with his men. When everyone was gone, a figure with a mask appeared. They looked in the direction of Gato before following the Oinen. Anko and Naruto returned to Tezuna's house. Anko stretched her muscles before dispelling the henge. That was a load off. Well, did you notice anyone watching? Anko asked Naruto. Naruto dispelled his clones and the henge he was under. Someone did enter the field, but they were using the mist as well. They were a lot better than me at staying hidden, Naruto said. Then we can assume that it is this Oinen that Kakashi's brats told us about. Let's hope that our plan works, Anko said. They were being watched by said Oinen. After learning about what they planned, he decided to let his master know that Konoha sent backup and they were setting him up. He turned to leave but only got a few yards before his world went dark. He didn't know where he was and he felt the air leave his lungs. He was gasping for air and felt the world go darker. As Anko and Naruto were about to enter the house, they heard a thud. The door opened to reveal Yakumo and Jacken, who were armed. What's going on? Anko demanded. Someone tripped one of my genjutsu traps. There is someone out there, Yakumo said. Anko nodded and made hand gestures to her team. They spread out and made their way carefully to the area where the thud was heard. They arrived to see a body. It was the Oinin that Kakashi told them about. He was out cold and not moving. Anko checked him and found him to be alive. Naruto removed the mask off his face and Yakumo gasped as who it was revealed to be. Anko turned to her. You know this guy? Anko asked. It's Haku. Both teams were sitting around the table. Their captive was still out cold and unmoving. They were discussing on what to do with him. I say we kill him and be done with it, Sasuke said. Really, that's your decision? Did you forget your last encounter with Zabuza? If he has kept this guy around for so long, then he is very important to him. You really want to bring the wrath of one of the members of the greatest swordsman group in Kiri? Jacken asked with a mocking tone. Sasuke glared at him, but Jacken was not impressed. We're not killing him, moron. We're going to use him and let him tell Zabuza that he has been betrayed. The problem we face is that he may tell Zabuza that our operation was a trick. Naruto said. Hey, don't call Sasuke a moron, Sakura shouted. Oh, low down the volume, damn it. We're right in front of you, Jacken shouted at her. Okay, all of you shut up, Anko shouted, ending all arguments. Naruto is right, however. The plan has worked and this young man knows that Gato has betrayed them. We need to convince him that it is in his best interest to help us. Kakashi said. I could use my Sharingan. Nope, you're still not at 100% and I'm not taking care of you, Anko argued. That's when she noticed Yakumo. She was giving the boy a very long stare. Do you have something to add, Yakumo? The genjutsu user did not answer her, but she then turned to face Anko. Sensei, please give me a chance to talk with him, Yakumo said. What are you thinking, Yakumo? She asked. I can't explain it. I don't think he has the soul of a cold-blooded killer. When I met him that day, I felt a gentle aura coming off him. I believe that I can get him to help us, Yakumo said with seriousness. Anko looked at her student and smiled. You can use the room upstairs. Jacken, take him up there. Jacken nodded and went to help his teammate. Yakumo took a deep breath before dispelling the genjutsu that held Haku. He took a giant breath and quickly took a look at his surroundings. Despite his erratic breathing, he was able to take in everything. He saw that he tied up and he was in a room. He saw Yakumo and her Konoha Hitai 8 forehead protector. He saw that she was allowing him to get himself in order, so he used this time gather himself. Once he was in control, he looked at Yakumo. The two stared at each other before he smiled. I would have never expected you to be a shinobi. You seem too feminine and frail, but I guess you are shinobi material after all, Haku said. Yakumo smiled as well. The same can be said of you. When we met, you were gentle. I couldn't believe that someone as gentle as you would be a ninja. Also, I didn't think that someone like you could be with someone like Zabuza, Yakumo countered. It is not so hard to understand. Things in Kirigakure are not like your home in Konohagakure. People like me are hated because of abilities that we have been born with. With my ability, I killed my father. It was because I was different, both me and my mother were. It was Zabuza who gave me purpose and I would die for him, Haku explained. Yakumo looked at him and saw that he was not lying to her. It would be wrong of me to say that I understand you. Despite how things started for me, I was given another chance and have made great friends and reconnected with my family, Yakumo said. They were quiet for a while before she spoke again. What can I do to convince you to help us? I will never betray Zabuza, Haku said with conviction. Even if it was the truth, you saw it yourself. Gato has betrayed you, Yakumo said. His betrayal was because of you and your team's plans, he countered. Perhaps, but it still doesn't mean that he wouldn't have betrayed you later on. Gato does not seem like the type of person who honors deals, Yakumo said with a smile. Her face suddenly turned serious. I know you have witnessed what Gato's corruption has done. You should understand their pain. Yakumo then got on her knees and bowed to him. I am begging you, my Shining Knight, please help me. Haku stared at the knelling girl and sported a little blush on his face. Anko watched from the window and could help but smile. Her little kunoichi would become the perfect interrogator, whether she accepted it or not. You sure did take your time, Haku, Zabuza said. I was careless and one of the teams spotted me. I had to lose them before returning. Plus, I had to get more herbs for your injuries, Haku told him. Stop worrying about that. I am fully healed and ready. Now, what did you learn? Zabuza asked. Gato has betrayed us. I saw everything. After the head commander threatened his business, he sold us out. Gato is preparing us for them, Haku said. That little troll, he will regret crossing me, Zabuza growled. He looked at Haku and really bore into him. Is there anything else? Took a while for Haku to answer him. No, Zabuza-sama, there is nothing else, Haku said. Very well then, our target has changed. We move at dawn, so be prepared, Zabuza said. Haku nodded and left to prepare. Zabuza watched him as he left and smirked. Gato was standing among a bunch of thugs and killers. He had just hired these guys for the job that they were about to do. Okay, listen up, you guys are to head for that bridge and take everyone out. I'm gonna show these people what happens when you cross me. Zori, Waraji, I want you two to bring Tezuna's daughter with me. I want to watch his face when she dies, Gato said with a smirk. Hey boss, what about those two ninja? Asked one of the henchmen. I'll give him up to those hunters. Maybe that'll teach that punk some respect, he said. So, you want to teach me about respect, do you? A voice said from everywhere. Mist began to fill the room from the windows, covering everyone. They were starting to get frightened and frantic. Gato was shaking like a leaf. Zizabuza? He asked meekly. You thought that you could betray me? Very well. I will show you why I am called Kirigakure no Kijin, Demon of the Mist. After those words, all hell broke loose. Kakashi and his team stood at the bridge with Tezuna and his crew. He was back at full strength and was ready for a rematch against Zabuza. He wasn't too confident that Yakumo managed to convince the boy. She explained to them that he was very loyal to Zabuza. He would be prepared for Zabuza in case the boy tricked them. As he was standing guard, he heard someone approach. Turned out to be Naruto, or rather a clone. Everyone looked at him and waited for him to speak. What is it, Naruto? Kakashi asked. It's over. Gato is dead, he informed everyone. Everyone was shocked at the news. Are you sure about that? Kakashi asked. Come and see yourself, sensei, Naruto said. He ordered his team to stay and protect the bridge while he went with Naruto. It didn't take them long to arrive to the area where a crowd gathered. Kakashi looked at the corpse and moved to check it. It was definitely Gato. He had his arms, legs, and head severed. The cuts were perfect, done with a very large blade. He looked at the clone. Where is your team? He asked. We got someone to take us to Gato's base, the clone said. Kakashi nodded and quickly made his way back to the bridge. Team Anko looked at the scene. It looked straight out of a horror movie. Blood was splattered everywhere, bodies were in two, and some of the bodies had needles sticking out of them. Anko saw that they weren't kill shots but attacks meant to freeze their movements. They walked through the base and just saw more of Zabuza's work. Is it wrong that I'm kind of wet from this? Anko asked. Her team looked at her with their usual expression. Really? This excites you? Jacken asked loudly. What? I haven't interrogated anyone in a while and I forgot my Aika. Don't test me, boy. Anko spat. Why don't you just rape Kakashi? We know that you like him, Naruto said. Please, as if that one-eyed bastard knows what to do with this, Anko said, gesturing to her body. The two boys shook their heads. Hey, what's that? Yakumo asked. They made their way toward Gato office and saw a large mountain of money. They all looked at it in amazement. Anko saw a note and picked it up. Give this money to the people. I hope to see you again, my lady. Anko read. My lady, who could this be from? They're definitely not speaking about you, Naruto said to Anko. The comment got him drilled. As he laid on the floor, he noticed that Yakumo's cheeks were a little red. Hey Yakumo, are you okay? Your face is kind of red. Yakumo was suddenly the center of attention. Anko had a small smile. I'm guessing that this is from your shinning night? Anko asked with amusement. You were watching us? Yakumo exclaimed. The two boys looked on in confusion. Team Anko, Team Kakashi, and Tezuna's family were having a huge dinner. The party from the village had continued on home. When Team Anko returned with the money and told them that it was for the village, everyone began to celebrate. They cheered, cried tears of joy, and the dark clouds lifted over the village. Tsunami created a huge dinner for the shinobi who helped their village. As they ate and drank, the sounds of bells reached their ears. It was the same bells that were set up as an alert system. The shinobi looked at each other before filing out of the house. When they were outside, they immediately went to their weapons. Standing in front of them were Zabuza and Haku. Chapter 30, On the Road Home. Team Kakashi and Team Anko readied themselves for a fight. Zabuza just looked at them with Haku at his side. He then chuckled at the two teams and relaxed his guard, confusing the two jonin. So you called for backup? The Burakamamba no Konoha, Konoha's Black Mamba. I've heard of you. Your team must have been the reason that Gato decided to betray me. It was a good plan, but Kiri Oinen don't really work in such large groups. Zabuza said. Why are you here, Zabuza? Kakashi asked. I just wanted to meet the team that turned my tool against me, Zabuza said. The way he said tool really didn't sit well with Yakumo. Excuse me, but Haku is not a tool. He is a person with feelings. How can you treat him as lowly as that? Yakumo growled. Ah, that explains a lot. Anyway, I am no longer your enemy and I have taken my pay, so you don't need to worry anymore, Zabuza said. So you just came to tell us that you're leaving? Enko asked. Not really, Zabuza said. He then pushed Haku toward them. I have no use for an unloyal tool. He isn't registered as a shinobi. Maybe he can be of some use to you, as he has certainly is no use to me. How dare you? Yakumo roared. He has done everything you asked of him. He's killed all for your ambition. He does one good thing and you just discard him like he's nothing. You are nothing but scum. A lowlife who doesn't deserve such loyalty. Zabuza looked at the young woman with narrowed eyes. Enko stood in front of her student and reached for her blade. He just looked at them before scoffing at them. Whatever, I don't really care. Just take him with you, as he has clearly bonded with your student, Zabuza said. As he began to walk, Haku faced him. Zabuza-sama, I am sorry that I have failed you. I know that you will never forgive my actions, but know that I do thank you for allowing me to stand by your side, he said. Zabuza turned slightly at the boy. For now, you live for yourself. You can create your own life in Konoha, Zabuza said. With that, he vanished with the mist. The tense atmosphere was gone and everyone relaxed their guards. Yakumo walked up to Haku and stared at his back. I know that you probably blame me for this, and for that I'm sorry, she told him. While I am no longer of use to Zabuza-sama, I do not blame you for it. I saw how everyone is after we dealt with Gato. I regret betraying him, but he was nice enough to allow me to live my life, Haku said. He turned and faced the group. I hate to impose, but I was wondering if you would allow me to come with you on your way back to Konoha? Sure, why not? If I didn't, your crush over there might just put us in one of her genjutsu, Enko said with a wicked grin. The two teens blushed and Yakumo was glaring at her sensei. Naruto and Jacken decided to pile on. Yakumo and Haku, sitting in a tree. Naruto sang. Kissing. Jacken sang. First comes love. Then comes marriage. And then comes Yakumo with a baby carriage. Enko, Jacken, and Naruto sang. They all fell over with laughter and Yakumo was red in the face. Their laughter died down when they noticed the ghostly image that she was giving off. Not even trying to apologize, her team took off as Yakumo took off after them. Kakashi just smiled at the antics of Anko's team. Team Kakashi and Team Enko with Haku stood with the villagers on the now completed bridge. They had to admit that it was a beautifully built bridge. As everyone said their goodbye and wished each other luck, Naruto was thinking about something. Hey old man, what are you going to call the bridge? Naruto asked. You know, I really don't know what I'm going to call it, Tazuna answered. Why don't you name it after me? Enko asked boastfully. I don't think Psycho Bitch Bridge is a flattering name, Jacken answered. He was rewarded with a foot to the face. We should name it after you guys. You gave us our hope back, Inari said to Naruto. While that would be awesome, maybe you guys should dedicate this bridge to your first hero, Naruto said. You mean Kaiza, don't you? Tazuna said. He was in silence for a while before he spoke again. The Kaiza Memorial Bridge, that doesn't sound bad. What do you guys think? He asked the villagers. Everyone seemed to like the idea of the name. Alright then, the Kaiza Memorial Bridge it is. Thanks for the name, kid. Naruto just nodded and saluted the group. The two teams and one passenger began their trek home, waving back to the village. They all wished the teams a safe trip. Unknown to everyone, Zabuza was watching them go as well. He watched as Haku walked with the Konoha teams. Live your own life, my dear friend, Zabuza whispered before vanishing for good. Haku turned to look around as he thought he heard something. He suddenly had a grin on his face but didn't know why. He caught up to the Konoha teams and continued on his way to Konoha to begin his new life. The teams and their guest was another day out of Konoha. Everyone was in separate groups and was enjoying the company. Enko was hanging off Kakashi's back, reading his book with him. Kakashi didn't seem to mind that she was draped over him. In fact, he seems to enjoy it. In another group, Naruto, Jacken, Haku, Yakumo and Sai were talking and laughing. Yakumo would still get teased about her crush on Haku, which made the two blush. The final group was a group of two. Sakura was trying to get Sasuke's attention, but the last Uchiha wasn't paying attention to her. His eyes were focused on the members of Team Anko. He didn't like the fact that this team had come in and messed with his mission. He felt that he lost his chance at activating his eyes, the Sharingan. Instead of getting into a battle of death, he was forced to sit back and watch as this team did his job. He didn't like that they did not instantly respect him. Just like their sensei, they thought that they were above him. Well, he was about to show them that he was the best. He stood up and walked over to the group and stood before them. They all looked at him and wondered what he wanted. He faced Naruto and narrowed his eyes, making the blonde nervous. Anko and Kakashi looked up from their book. "Can I help you, Sasuke?" Naruto asked nervously. "Fight me," Sasuke demanded. "Excuse me?" he asked in surprise. "I said to fight me," Sasuke said with a tone. Naruto looked at his team and at his sensei. Anko stood and walked over to the group. She gave Sasuke a look before turning back to her student. "If he wants a fight, then you should give it to him. In fact, let's make this into a taijutsu spar. What do you say, Kakashi? We can even bet on it," Anko said. "What are the stakes?" Kakashi asked. "My boy wins. You take me to dinner and do 5 D-rank missions of my choosing. Your boy wins. I'll model something from Ika, Anko said. "That sounds fair. This will only be a taijutsu spar. No weapons, no jutsu. Am I understood?" Kakashi asked. Both boys nodded and prepared to spar. Everyone got a distance away as the two boys stretched. After a few seconds, both boys were ready. Kakashi stood between them. "The first to 3 points will be declared the winner. Are you ready?" he asked Naruto. The blonde nodded. "Are you ready?" he asked Sasuke. The black-haired boy nodded. "Then begin," he declared. Sasuke attempted to catch Naruto off guard with a quick jab, but Naruto blocked it and stuck him at his side with a jab on his own. Sasuke winced and backed up. "Point, Naruto," Kakashi said. His team cheered while Sakura complained. Sasuke rubbed the spot on his side and glared at Naruto. The two set up again and readied themselves. As soon as Kakashi gave the signal, Sasuke attempted to knock Naruto flat on his ass. The blonde dodged with amazing flexibility. He saw that Sasuke had overreached on a punch and made him pay with a spinning elbow to Sasuke's chest. The last Uchiha was sent to the ground, rubbing his chest in pain. "Point, Naruto," Kakashi called out. "Hey, that's not fair," Sakura exclaimed. "Oh, would you please shut the hell up? What's he supposed to do? Allow him to just hit him? Doesn't say much of his title of Rookie of the Year, does it?" Jacken spat. Sakura wanted to say something, but she closed her mouth and huffed angrily. Sasuke was instantly on his feet and was breathing hard. He gave Naruto an hard look and readied himself. Naruto followed his movement and prepared himself. When Kakashi gave the signal, Naruto was the one who was the aggressor. Sasuke was blindsided by Naruto's speed. Naruto used a lot of feints to keep Sasuke occupied and ended the fight with a spin kick to Sasuke's jaw. Sasuke hit the ground with a thud. "Point and match, Naruto," Kakashi said. "Yeah. Team Anko is number 1. Jacken cheered. Sasuke was huffing and puffing. He was red in the face and angry as hell. Naruto was about to help Sasuke up when he saw him doing hand seals. When it ended in the tiger seal, Naruto moved quickly. As Sasuke took a deep breath, Naruto slammed his palm in Sasuke's chest. Sasuke instantly felt something wrong with his chakra as he dropped to his knees. He let out a couple of coughs before glaring up at Naruto. "What did you do to me?" Sasuke gasped out. "That isn't a question that you should be asking. What was up with you attempting to use a katana on me? It was a spar, not a full-on battle," Naruto said with an edge. Sasuke glared at him, but he was now facing his sensei. Kakashi gave him a very disappointed look. "I think that I will allow that seal that Naruto placed on your chest to stay there until we get home. Afterwards, we are going to have words about your attitude towards losing," Kakashi said. Sasuke looked down to see a seal on his chest and it was glowing. He wanted to demand that the seal be removed, but the harsh look that Kakashi gave him shut him up. As Naruto was congratulated by his team, he gave the blonde a hard glare. This glare was not missed by Anko. The purple-haired Jonin did not like that glare. She would make sure that she would talk to Kakashi about it. She didn't need another problem added to his plate. Midoshi sighed as she waited outside the office of the Kazekage. She didn't even know why she was even here. Orochimaru just took her from her training so that she could be one of his bodyguards. She didn't know why Manda dealt with the pale man. As she waited, she felt the presence of some people. She turned to see 3 teens and an adult. She was very curious about the red-haired boy, who looked like he hadn't slept in days. They sat down and waited just like she was. She acted like she wasn't listening but wondered what they were talking about. "So, you're finally getting a chance to become a Chunin, huh sis?" asked Kankuro. "Yeah, but I wonder what our father wants. Is he really gonna send Gaara to Konoha? Especially with that guy there?" Temari said. "You will do nothing to stop me. That blonde will prove my existence and nothing will stop me from feeding him to my sand," Gaara said with a warning tone. "Hey, we're just concerned, you know. This guy was able to hold you back for quite a while. Maybe you should let this go," Kankuro said. "Excuse me," Midoshi spoke, gaining their attention. "I'm curious about the Konohanin that you mentioned. Does he have spiky blonde hair, blue eyes and 3 whisker marks on each cheek?" That agitated the redhead who stood and faced Midoshi. The girl could feel the killing intent coming from him, but she was not afraid of it. She just smiled at him, which amazed the others. "So you did meet him. How did he look?" "Are you looking to stop me too?" he asked in a warning voice. "I don't really need to," she said while standing up. She faced him without fear. "In fact, I'm telling you to leave him alone. He belongs to me." The cork on Gaara's gourd popped off and sand began to pour out. Midoshi just smirked and her eyes flashed. Gaara froze and was suddenly pierced with Midoshi's sword. Blood sprayed out of his head and Gaara's eyes were wide with shock. Gaara gasped when he looked around him. He noticed that there was no blood, no sword and no death. The others looked at Gaara's face and saw fear. "What did you?" Gaara gasped out. "You never want to mess with someone else's prey and that blonde is my prey. Keep that in mind because if you take him from me, that vision will become a reality very soon," Midoshi said. "Midoshi, I think that will be enough." Everyone turned to see the Yondaime Kazekage and Orochimaru step out of the office. "Our business is over and we must return," he said. Yeah, it's about time," Midoshi said. She turned back to Gaara with a smile. "Don't forget he's mine. Touch him and die." She walked away behind Orochimaru. Gaara growled at the retreating back of Midoshi. He didn't know how but he would make her pay, her and that blonde Konohanin. Chapter 31 Prelude to the Chunin Exams. Team Anko and Team Kakashi stood in front of the Hokage. They had just finished giving their reports and were waiting for what the Hokage had to say. Hiruzen was very impressed with both teams, Anko's team more than Kakashi's. The mission was handled without too much bloodshed on their part. He was a little troubled with Sasuke's behavior, and it showed that the boy needed to learn that his name would not get him everywhere. "I am glad that the mission was done and that you all arrived back safely. However, I am displeased with the behavior of your team Kakashi. A genin should not be questioning a jonin. Also, I am very displeased that the Rookie of the Year is so petty that he would attempt to use a jutsu just because he was bested by a shinobi that has a year's worth of experience on him," Hiruzen said. "I apologize to you and to Anko for the behavior of my student. I promise that it would not happen again," Kakashi said. "I'm sure that it won't, but I am still going to make an example." "Anko, your deal was for 5 D ranks of your choosing," Hiruzen asked. "I was thinking that it would be beneficial if they do the Capture Tora mission 5 times. It has done wonders for my team when it comes to tracking and subduing," Anko said with a smile. Her team snickered at that. "Add 5 more times to that request as a punishment to the team," Hiruzen said. "But Hokage-sama, that doesn't sound fair at all," Sakura argued. "No, a lesson must be made regarding such behavior. This type of behavior could have gotten you and your team killed. I do not need pettiness among my shinobi," Hiruzen explained. He saw that Sasuke was not pleased with his decision. He released a little killer intent toward the boy. "I would be careful at who you glare at, Sasuke. While others may cater to you, I do not. You are a shinobi under my command and you will conduct yourself as a professional. Do I make myself clear?" "Yes, Hokage-sama," Sasuke said weakly. "Do you have any objections, Kakashi?" the Hokage asked. No, sir. We will accept this punishment with no complaints, Kakashi said. Good, Hiruzen said. He then faced Haku. When I received the message from Kakashi, I did a background check on Zabuza's claims. You weren't registered as a shinobi, so I have no problems in letting you stay. My only concern is your attachment with Zabuza, so you will be placed on probation for a period of 2 months. The ANBU will be watching you. I understand, Hokage-sama, Haku said. Do you wish to be a shinobi of this village, Haku? Hiruzen asked. If it isn't too much trouble, I would like to further my skills in medicine, Haku said. That can be arranged. I've heard that you are also skilled in combat, so you could become a combat medic if you choose to, Hiruzen said. If it is okay with you, Hokage-sama, the Kurama clan would like to sponsor his training, Yakumo said. I bet you would, Anko muttered with a smirk. Jacken and Naruto grunted in mirth. Yakumo glared at all of them. Hiruzen didn't even ask, as it was a Team Anko thing. Anyway, you are all dismissed with the exception of Haku. You may take a day or 2 off for your troubles, Hiruzen said. Sasuke was the first to leave, storming out of the office. Everyone else left, leaving Hiruzen alone with Haku. Jacken arrived at his apartment. As he entered, he noticed the seal that was near his door. It was glowing red and he was instantly on edge. He pulled out his Korsagama and moved slowly into his home. He looked around for anyone in his home. You can calm down, Jacken. It's just me, a familiar voice said. Jacken sighed and lowered his guard. Why are you in my apartment, Kuma? Jacken asked. It's about Senichi, he said. Jacken's eyes suddenly narrowed and his demeanor got serious. What about him? Jacken asked. He's out of prison and out of Konoha. He's been stripped of his rank and had his techniques sealed. I just thought that you should know, he said. Thanks, but you wasted your time. I don't get a damn about that man and I'm glad that he's gone, Jacken said. Kuma just nodded and stood up. He made his way to the door. He paused for a second and turned his head slightly to look at Jacken. Will you be all right? He asked. You worry too much. I'll be fine, Jacken said. The ANBU member nodded and took his leave. Once the door closed, Jacken stood there in silence. While he did not give a damn about his failure of a father, somewhere deep inside him, he was a little hurt that he did not say goodbye or at least broke into and trashed his apartment as a farewell. He sighed and went to get something to eat in his kitchen. As he entered, he noticed his mail on the counter. He went through it and stopped when he got a familiar letter. The letter was from that place in Otafuku-gai, homely woman town. That meant that it was from Aiko. She probably received the letter that he sent her and replied. He opened the envelope and pulled the letter out. He opened it and read. Jacken, I was very glad that you wrote me back. I know that it might have been strange getting a letter from a woman you barely know, but you made such an impression on me that I wanted to keep in contact with you. Your sensei was a big help. Anyway, I'm glad that you're doing well. I actually heard about that mission you told me about. I heard that you went up against a dangerous man. I guess that it's the life of a shinobi. I am doing well. I won't go into details as I know that you don't respect that. However, I've taken a little vacation of sort. I will probably travel to Kuni, land of hot water, and enjoy my time off. After that, I guess it is back to work. Sorry, that sounds wrong. I just don't want you to have the impression that we are all like that. Anyway, I do hope that you continue to write to me. I really enjoyed the last letter and I would like to learn more about your life. Until next time, Jacken. Go. Jacken didn't know why, but the letter brought a smile to his face. He didn't really know what Aiko's motives were, but he was happy that she cared. It made him regret talking bad about call girls. He put the letter down and went to get a piece of paper. He knew what he wanted to write down. He only hoped that she didn't freak out about it. Team Anko were waiting for their sensei to arrive. They found it kind of strange since she was always here first. At first, they thought that she was about to ambush them, but after 15 minutes, they knew that she wasn't around. She suddenly appeared before them. They all noticed the serious expression on her face. Okay guys, gather around. I have something important to talk to you about, Anko said. The team gathered and sat down. Anko sat on the ground with them. I'm not going to beat around the bush, Anko said as she pulled out 3 forms. She handed each of them one. They read it and were surprised by what it said. This is for the Chunin Senbatsu Shuriken, Chunin Selection Exam, Yakumo said. That's right. I believe that you three are ready to take this test. I held back because you didn't have the stuff yet, Enko said. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. Do you remember our second C-rank mission? Enko said. They all nodded and understood what she was talking about. I truly believe that you are ready to take the exams that will be held here in Konoha. This choice is strictly yours and I won't pressure you or allow you to pressure each other. This is your decision. If you believe that you are ready, then sign the form and give it to me. If you feel that you need more time, then take all the time you need. What if we choose to take it? Jacken asked. Then prepare for the most brutal training that I have ever put you through. These exams are no joke and you can seriously die if you're not careful. I've grown attached to you brats and I would be really bummed if you were killed, Enko said with a smile. The others smiled as well. I'll give you guys a free day so you can think about it. They nodded and left the training grounds to consider taking the exam. Midoshi entered the cave where Gyurin was staying. As she entered, she noticed something was off. She suddenly smirked and pulled out her sword. The boulder to her right suddenly exploded and several tendrils of hair shot right at her. She twisted out of the way of the attack and used her sword to block the kunai that attempted to stab her. She elbowed her attacker and kicked them away. She charged at the attacker but had to stop when she was attacked from all angles by hair. Midoshi danced out of harm's way. While in the air, she aimed her arm forward. Sanaijishu, hidden shadow snake hands, Midoshi called out. For snakes shot out and ensnared her victim. She pulled them forward with ease. She used the ceiling as a springboard and launched herself at the mid-air target. She drove her blade into them, gaining a gasp. Midoshi then noticed that the person she believed to be Kodoheim was actually a log. Katan. Kasumi Enbyu no Jutsu. Fire release. Mist blaze dance technique. Kajiro called out. Midoshi was covered by a clear mist. She noticed the smell and her eyes went wide. That's when the hidden explosive notes detonated. A huge explosion rocked the cave. As the smoke cleared, a burnt body hit the ground with a thud. Kajiro and Kodoheim came out of their respective hiding places to see what they had done. Suddenly there was clapping coming from behind them. They turned to see Midoshi. Very good, you have improved greatly. You do good work, Gyurin, Midoshi said, turning to her left. Gyurin just stood there with her arms folded. It wasn't easy, but they can hold their own against anyone now, Gyurin said. Continue the great work. I will need them should I face this one Konoha team at the exams, Midoshi said. Are you admitting that there is someone out there that can beat you? Gyurin said. Midoshi just smirked at her and left the cave. She had another month and a half before the exam began. Naruto stood in an abandoned field and faced a tree. He summoned a clone and held his arm out to him. The clone began to move his hand around his opened hand. He watched as a ball of chakra appeared. The clone dispelled and Naruto charged at the tree. He thrust the ball into the tree and watched as it grinded into the tree. When the technique was finally over, the tree had a hole in it. Naruto watched it with a smile on his face. That's not bad, a voice said. Naruto turned and faced Jiraiya. You still haven't mastered it, however. What are you talking about? The damage is similar to what you showed me, Naruto said. True, but the technique is supposed to be done one-handed, not with help. I'm not saying that you can't use the Rasengan in battle, but you haven't mastered the technique, Jiraiya explained. Well, it will have to do for now. I need to be prepared for the Chunin Senbatsu Shuriken, Naruto said. Is that so? Enko is allowing you guys to take the exams, Jiraiya asked. Yeah, and she's running us through the ringer. She wants us to be prepared for what's coming, Naruto said. She's right to do so. These exams are no joke. Just be careful, kid, and watch your team's back, Jiraiya said. No problems, Arrow Sennin, Pervy Sage. I'm going to ace this exam and become a Chunin, Naruto boasted with confidence. Jiraiya just chuckled at him. Naruto decided to relax as he didn't want to get any injuries in the next 2 days. The Chunin Senbatsu Shuriken was just around the corner and he wanted to be prepared both physically and mentally. As he walked along the streets, he saw something down an alleyway. He moved closer and was shocked to see Suna and Shinobi. Not only were they Suna Shinobi, but the same Shinobi with their unstable brother. He looked on to see that one of them had Konohamaru by the front of his shirt. His two friends were scared and Sakura was just standing there. He saw that Konohamaru was about to get punched and decided to intervene. Naruto used the Shunshin body flicker to appear before the teenager. He hit a nerve in his hand, making him release Konohamaru. He then caught that wrist and twisted it. He pulled the large teen and spun him to ground, still holding him in a wrist lock. He made sure that he was facing the blonde as he did not want to get hit from behind. He looked at Konohamaru briefly and faced the girl again. "Are you all right, Konohamaru?" Naruto asked. "Yeah, Naruto-nisan. Where did you come from?" Konohamaru said. "Ninja secret," Naruto stated. He turned his attention to the girl. "So we meet again. You guys just like to cause trouble, don't you? You do know that if your teammate here had struck the kid, then you would have been booted out of here? Messing with the Hokage's family isn't a smart move," Naruto explained. "I told you to just let it go, didn't I?" the girl said with a sigh. "Aren't you going to help me?" the boy exclaimed. "Now, where's your other teammate? I know he's here somewhere," Naruto said. He got his wish when the redhead appeared in a swirl of sand. The two stared at each other, ignoring everyone including Sasuke, who jumped out of the tree. After an intense stare down, Naruto was the first to speak. "I know that you're here for the Chunin Senbatsu Shuriken, but your teammate here nearly got you kicked out of the village. I suggest that you keep a tighter leash on him," Naruto said. "I will do just that. Now head my message. I will kill you and prove my existence. I do not care about that other one that is after you. I will be the one who kills you," he said. Naruto was a little confused by that. Was there someone else that wanted him dead? He would need to talk to Anko about this. He released the teen and slowly made his way to Konohamaru and his friends. He never took his eyes off the redhead, and the same for him. He slowly led Konohamaru and his friends away. Gaara began to walk away with his siblings following. Sasuke looked at the two and was not really happy. What was their issue? The redhead looked strong and he was making death threats toward Naruto. It also made Sasuke wonder how strong Naruto was. A little pissed at being ignored, Sasuke ran off to get some training in. He needed to be ready for